Hello, guys, and welcome to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting Marigold. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined by Mr. Tuesday Night, the Vivid Honey Mustard. It is Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how are you, good sir?
Rob Goodwin, I'm phenomenal for a lot of reasons. Yes, the Vivid Honey Mustard has a shot of winning the Tokyo Princess Cup. Free plug for our other show over on the network over here, Talk Joshi. We'll be talking about that later on the week with one Andy Header. Obviously, a lot of great wrestling around the horn to talk about all over the planet, especially in the world of Joshi. Obviously, we'll be talking about fantastic shows, Summer Destiny. So really good on that point. It seems like great wrestling almost every day, which is just a blessing. But Rob, 2 weeks from right now, do you know where I'll be?
It's a very good question.
Where I'm supposed to be.
Oh, where you're supposed to be. Well, that will be right here, brother.
And I'm getting ready because usually I have my water with my branching amino acids or some sort of disgusting mushroom thing that I take to keep my energy levels up.
It is rank. I can attest.
I got my tea. Hold on. I'm going to take a little sip.
No way.
Beautiful.
There you go.
You know what else is beautiful? You know how else I've been prepping for my trip to England?
Growing a mustache and wearing a monocle?
Oh, no, well, I could do that. Maybe. We'll see. I'm excited to talk to you about, obviously, a lot of things in person, but I literally just got this in the mail as I was walking in about 20 minutes ago.
I swear to God, if this is something Tam, I swear to God.
Not as good, because I know you can only take so much. But how about the best damn flying knee in the business? Autograph Miku Aono card. Yes, because we're gonna be watching some Miku. We're gonna be watching some Miku Aono, as well as Natsupoi, the retirement road. She's not coasting on that one, brother. That's for darn sure.
Really isn't. No, the retirement road is real for Natsupoi. She's got in the space of 5 days, Saori Anou and Natsupoi facing off in singles action, then the teaming together against Bobomomo Banana. And then against Red Energy, literally in the space of a week. So, tremendous. Spark Rush, sorry, is what I meant, yeah. In the space of a week, which is honestly quite impressive. Now, I have been preparing for your imminent arrival in the UK by sampling this lovely beast. This is Damn Lemon, it's called. It's a lemon beer that they serve at our local pub. It is absolutely delicious. According to this can, which
it is a can, yes,
it is, yeah.
That's right.
Apparently, I have more than one of these. It's 6 parts beer and 4 parts lemon. I am not sure about that, but it is absolutely delicious. And on a hot day by the canal, it goes down an absolute treat. So cheers, good sir.
Cheers, good sir. Cheers. And I do want to say that lemon is very good for the hydration. So you're getting the best of both worlds. Arnold Schwarzenegger drinks lemon beer. He swears by it. And if Arnold, the greatest overachiever in the history of the world, does, then who are we to argue with Arnold, with the Terminator?
If it's good enough for Big Arn, it's good enough for me. That's all I'll say. I mean, they do call me the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the podcasting network.
Oh, there it is.
So
now you know Frohausen's going to make something. He's making it right now, considering the fact he sent me about 4 things of me and that guy from Impractical Jokers doing the Spider-Man thing. I was like,
genuine. The moment somebody said that, I know exactly who you are talking about.
I saw your poker face, brother.
Oh my God. Insanity. We got a lot to talk about, though, on today's episode of the Marigold Standard. Lots of news coming out. We officially know the breakdown of the Dream Star Grand Prix. We have got the first tour shows back for Mayu and Victoria Yuzuki on the 15th and the 16th of August. We have got a follow-up to Mayu Iwatani's autobiography. That's coming out in September, and we've got a little bit of an update as well on Oki Akita and Akita Aid, which is obviously the money that was raised during Summer Destiny to help with Oki Akita. And do you know what? We're going to start right there, because I don't think there is a better place to start than right here. For those who don't know, Marigold's announcer, Oki Akita, was unfortunately diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. I think it was last week, and it was announced during the Korakuen Hall show. And it was also announced that Summer Destiny would be Oki Aid, where there will be ways that you could donate to support him. You could also buy portraits and things like that as well. It has been announced by Marigold's social media channels that at the event, pardon me, a total of 375,871 yen was raised through portraits and donations. Now, with the conversion rate just under $2,500 US dollars, which is quite the achievement. And some things transcend wrestling, and people's generosity never ceases to amaze me. So, obviously, we wish Oki nothing but the best, all of the strength in the world as he embarks on that recovery. I mean, I've seen stuff on social media. I know that Megaton went to go and see him. I know that Nane and Momo Nakanishi went to go and see him. And apparently he was really full of spirit and stuff like that. So fingers crossed for him. And obviously we wish him nothing but the best.
I wonder if Momo and Nane were running tag spots. You know, those two get together. They're just
absolutely.
They're lights out. The great thing about this, again, obviously, there's no great thing about cancer, but the good thing about that, what's going, the progression. He's not fighting this alone. I mean, he's got so many of the wrestling and the wrestling fan base, and of course the fans worldwide. I mean, again, he's in Japan, half a world away from both me and you, brother. And there's so many people over in your neck of the woods and my neck of the woods that are absolutely pulling and praying for him. So, obviously he's the front line of this fight, but he's got a lot of great people and great fan base around him. So keep fighting, my brother. Thoughts and prayers are with you. And one day at a time. One day at a time is all we can take it. But I'd love to see just the full support behind him as he literally braves on for an absolutely long haul. But again, he's not there alone. He's got a lot of tag partners, Rob. He's got a lot of tag partners, which is just fills my heart to see.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, when things are at their bleakest, people's generosity often is a shining light. So it's great to see that the donations poured in during Summer Destiny. So that was great to see. During Summer Destiny, we also, as I mentioned, had the breakdown of the Dream Star Grand Prix, which will be starting, Matt Turner, when you are in the UK, the 28th of August, because that day isn't busy enough with going to London for you, watching the Sendai Girls show, going to your first Pro Wrestling Eve show. We've also got the first show of the Dream Star Grand Prix emanating from Korakuen Hall. Now, we knew last week that there were 24 names in the field this year, the first time that the Dream Star has expanded from 16 to 24 names. And we were wondering how that split would happen. Would it be 2 blocks of 12? Would it be 12 blocks of 2? And that was our favorite. And unfortunately, Marigold haven't heeded that, which for me personally is a mistake. Instead, they are going with 4 blocks of 6. So they did announce what competitors will be taking place in each league, which is what they're going to be called from now on in this tournament. Anyway, it was the Dream League and the Star League. It's now League A, League B, League C, and League D. So let's start with League A, and we'll go through each league, talk about potential matchups we're excited for. It does also open the door to people per league will be going through to that last night at Korakuen Hall. So all the semifinals and the final presumably will be happening on one show, which makes that show very exciting. So that's good to see. So let's, as I said, start with League A. And in that league, we have Miku Aono, Natsumi Shozuki, Misa Matsui, Rini Yamanaka, Yuka Yamazaki, and Aaliyah James. Stacked block, and to be fair, there are quite a few stacked blocks as well. Matt, I know that myself and you have been begging for a Miku Aono Natsumi Shozuki red belt match. It's not a red belt match, but we are getting it in the Dream Star Grand Prix. Maybe we see Natsumi Shozuki get a surprise roll-up win over Miku Aono and get that red belt match later down the line, because that would be tasty. What else are you looking forward to? I'll ask you who you think he was going through in a moment, your early predictions before we do our primer. But who is what matchups jump out at you?
Obviously, again, Miku Aono, Natsumi Shozuki. I think they showed them back to back. I think there was like the first 2 people. This is probably my favorite block. Mm-hmm. I think this is my loaded block because, again, you got Yuki Yamazaki's in there, Misa Matsui. I'm going to say you got to have Miku Aono go through. I
Have to.
think, as your champion, so there's going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, buddy. So it's 2 from each block. That puts it at
Mhm.
8 into a playoff. Okay.
Yep.
So when I first saw these, I thought it was going to be one person from each block. And I was like, I thought I had it pinpointed. And I'm like, no, there's 2. So Yuka Yamazaki's, I think she's going to have great matches. She's in this great blocking. And we'll talk about how fantastic she was on these slew of shows. We're going to chat about Aaliyah James has an outside shot. Great showing against Chi-Chi. Great showing in Oda Ward and Barry Wave. I'm going to say Miku Aono. I'm pretty confident Miku Aono
Mhm.
goes through. She's a champion. She's the current champion. She's the champion last year. She's been built up properly, really well. Doesn't eat a lot of L's. I just can't see her not getting one of. There's 6 people in here. I can't just see her making the bottom 3. So I'm gonna say Misa Matsui and Miku Aono is gonna be my 2 picks.
Yeah, the exact same for me as well. I think the company are rightly very high on Misa Matsui, presumably because of her phenomenal flying knee strike.
Damn right.
But I think Miku Aono and Natsumi Shozuki is a match that will stand out from this block. I think Misa Matsui and Natsumi Shozuki, we know the history that they have together as well. And again, you're absolutely right. I think Yuki Yamazaki, despite her not picking up many points, I don't think in this league it'll be those performances that I'm most excited for Yuka. League B, then, we have Mayu Iwatani, Mila Schmidt, Komomo Minami, Naoi Ishikawa, Nagisa Nozaki, and Chiaki. This one for me is a little bit harder to call. Obviously, again, the match that stands out, Mayu Iwatani and Komomo Minami. Komomo Minami has been a stalwart of Marigold in the absence of Mayu and Victoria Yuzuki. So that's exciting. It can be a challenge for Mayu to see just how far Komomo has come. Obviously faced each other for the Superfly Championship earlier on in the year. Mila Schmidt is a complete unknown going into this tournament, which often offers a completely different, unique challenge as well. I think Nagisa Nozaki isn't someone you should write off. Chiaki, the same. Anyone from Darkness Revolution, I think, has a good shout in this tournament of getting out of their respective leagues. And again, Matt, I know that Naoi Ishikawa is a huge favorite of yours. She did give an interview, we talked about it last week, of how she didn't want to just be the person that made everyone laugh. She wants to be a serious wrestler. Well, there's nobody in this league that you are going to be able to have the funny ha-ha match with. This will be a case of, right, 6 people, 5 matches. Let's see what you can do against the likes of a Mayu, against the likes of a Komomo Minami. Nagisa Nozaki, we saw them have a singles match, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on as well. So the rematch is coming up as well. I would be surprised if Mayu Iwatani doesn't make it out of this league, especially given who I think is going to win the tournament. Spoilers. Second place is a difficult one here because I feel like my heart is saying Komomo because go Komomo, new theme, new gear, hell yeah. But you can't write off Nagisa Nozaki.
I think it'll come down to Nagisa and Komomo. And I'm with you. That's Komomo. I'm a little more confident on it because who was the main event built around on the last Korakuen show? Komomo, which is the genius of Suri. And we're going to get into the unbelievable tag match and how they elevate her into Kumiroha, how they elevate their opponents before they beat them. As I've been saying for years, even before I got on the podcast, if you just squash somebody and beat somebody, who'd you beat? You didn't beat anybody. When you build them up, then you beat them. You beat a contender. I could have been a contender. Good win.
Could have been a contender.
Contender. But I'm going to say, I think Mayu might go through. I think that would be wise.
Yeah.
I just can't see her. Yeah. No, I'm going to say Mayu and Komomo Minami, and I'm pretty confident on those 2. I think, none of that, but Komomo Minami's on a fancy shirt that I can't get because it is sold out. However, Miku Aono baseball jersey is still available, Raps. I might have to, that might be my next purchase. But anywho, yeah, I'm going to say Mayu and Komomo Minami. But looking forward to, and as you mentioned before, buddy, Naoi Ishikawa is going to get the opportunity against the greatest women's wrestler, bell to bell, in my opinion, Mayu Iwatani. Komomo Minami is somebody, obviously, they have a lot of steam on. And those Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki matches, they are not going to be World of Sport Classics, buddy. Those are going to be all Japan, like, Stan Hansen, Bruiser, Brody style. They're going to be some fisticuffs, which I think you're going to get a lot of new eyes and more eyes on one now Ishikawa off this tournament. I only see now getting maybe 3-4 points, but I think people are going to recognize what a phenomenal special talent she is. So I'm so excited for her to get the opportunity in this tournament, in this B block, my friend.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like there's a lot of buzz at the moment coming off the back of this Summer Destiny show for Marigold. And it's a lot of buzz that Marigold's unfortunately been without for a long time. So it feels like the Dream Star has come at the exact right time for the company. It does feel a little bit like almost a reset. We saw no challenges for titles coming out of Summer Destiny, obviously with the Dream Star. So it does feel very much like a bit of a reset for the company. Worth pointing out as well that Mayu in her Dream Star in 2025 did drop points against Chiaki because they had that really strange match where they both got counted out because they were running around the bleachers.
Yeah, in like 6 minutes. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really weird. That's right.
really weird finish. So again, don't count Chiaki out. She's again using that phrase again. She is a bit of a dark horse. Moving on to League C then, and that will be Victoria Yuzuki, Mai Sakurai, Shoko Kashino, Hummingbird, Chi-Chi, and, pardon me, again, Diana Strong, another unknown quantity. Matt, obviously, again, I'm sure there are matches that immediately jump out to you. I imagine they're probably the same ones that jump out to me. Victoria Yuzuki versus Mai Sakurai is the one immediately that jumps out to me. But also, I think Hummingbird against the likes of Victoria Yuzuki, against the likes of Chi-Chi, could be a real spoiler. However, it's obviously Victoria Yuzuki and Chi-Chi, isn't it? That's the match that we've built to. That's the match we saw a little bit of tension or more tension coming out of Korakuen Hall. Obviously, Victoria Yuzuki has just had her ass handed to it by Sari and Takumi Aroha. That follow-up is going to be tasty. And I think this one is another difficult one to call. Because on the one hand, Victoria Yuzuki has to go through. She's your second champion. She is in my eyes, I know we have Mayu. Victoria Yuzuki is the ace of the company. She is going to be the person that you are pinning your hopes on because, again, Mayu cannot wrestle forever. You know, much as we all want her to, she's not going to be able to. So Victoria Yuzuki is very much who you are pinning those hopes on, who you are sort of focusing on as your future icon. Chi-Chi, I feel like she's run through the entire of this Marigold roster during her brief stint with the company. I feel like she should go through, really. But also, Mai Sakurai needs to go through as well. She's just lost the 3D Trios Championships. I know she's quite a few people's favorite on social media to win the entire tournament. This block is another tricky one to call. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Yuzuki's got to go through. Like, I mean, just what a special talent. She was so sorely missed from the fans, especially me watching that match. You had Sari and Takumi Rojas, I like the best tag team in wrestling. And then, oh yeah, Mayu's back, the greatest of all time. There was so much focus put around Victoria Yuzuki and so much fight and so much fire and so much fighting spirit behind her that you have to capitalize on. So I say Yuzuki goes through, but it comes down to Chi-Chi and Mai Sakurai. And I wouldn't be shocked on the final day of the regular season, as we've been calling it lately, Rob, now with all these playoffs, that it comes down to Chi-Chi and Mai Sakurai. I think that once we get the actual matches announced, we're going to be going through that. We always go through the first day and the last day because they always load up, even Ross's booking the 5-star, you'd always load up the first day and the last, like overload it. Don't be shocked on that final night at Sakurai versus Chi-Chi. But to kind of just go through, if you're asking me, I'm going to say that's Sakurai. She's the contracted wrestler. I think Chi-Chi going through everybody, building Chi-Chi up, and then having her lose to Mai Sakurai on that final night, if that's the way they go, to get Sakurai to go through. I think that would be the way that I would go about it. But you wouldn't be wrong with Chi-Chi. But I think Victoria Yuzuki is a sure bet and needs to be a sure bet going into the playoffs. So I'm going to say Yuzuki and Sakurai go through.
Interesting. interesting. And obviously, we get to the final league, League D. That will have Koki Amare, Chika Goto, Shino, Megaton, Rea Seto, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the returning Nagisa Takibana, who currently is slated to return on the 28th of August from that bone bruise she sustained at the start of July. Matt, I feel like this is the most obvious block for me.
Really? This is the hardest one for me. Interesting, sir.
Only because obviously we have Megaton in this block, and it's just who goes through with Megaton. Obviously, Megaton is going to sweep the block or the league, depending on your terminology. It's just a case of who can keep up with that intense in-ring acumen. No, obviously not. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because on the one hand, I feel like the dead cert that goes through out of this league is the woman on your screen, Koki Amare. She's not someone I think will win it, but I think she's a dark horse to potentially win it. Third mention of dark horses today already. On the other hand, Nagisa Takibana does have a red belt shot in the bank. Would it benefit her to go through? Chika Goto has been putting in tremendous performances. Does she go through? Obviously, we've got that rivalry again, Chika Goto and Koki Amare to kick off. I wouldn't surprise me if that is on the opening night in Korakuen Hall. Obviously, Shino, who is just tremendous. There's lots of different ways I feel like Marigold could go here. For me, if it was up to me, I'd love to see Koki Amare and Rea Seto go through. Because Rea Seto, just progressively, the more I've watched her, the more I've been encapsulated by the character and how much she's developed. And then she seemed to put it all together to win that first title on Sunday. I'd love to see her go through. I don't think she will. I think it's more likely that they put both of the Twin Towers through. But I'd love to see Rea Seto go through alongside Koki.
This is a tough one. I'm going to say Koki will be the one I'm somewhat certain on.
Yeah, that's the same one for me.
The other ones is like definitely Miku Aono, definitely Mayu, definitely Yuzuki. I'm not saying definitely Koki Amare, but that would be kind of if I had to put like a definite one in this block, I'd say Koki Amare. The other blocks we talk about, well, maybe it's Chi-Chi, maybe it's this part, maybe it's this, we don't know. Or, it came down to just two people. With this one, it could be Chika Goto. Rob, it could be Shino. Like, I mean, what a talent. Like, what a talent. But I'm going to say it's Rea Seto. Here's the reason why. You got new gear. She was the MVP of that 3D Trios Championship. She got the win via submission over Mai Sakurai. Like, the person that has held the most championships, the most amount of days, was in the finals of this tournament 2 years ago. Julia basically passed the Joshi torch over to her before Julia went over to NXT and WWE and Disney World. We'll get into that at the very end. That's how you can gaze at Julia if you were at Disney World this past week, but we'll get into more on that later.
It's the only way.
That's it. I'm going to say Koki and Rea Seto. That's what I'm going to go with. But again, this is a really tricky one. And speaking of tricky, I know, we like to have our fun and joke around. Megaton can trip up anybody in this tournament. She's the Yano in this tournament. She's the, Saki Kashima in this tournament. So you never know what's going to happen with Megaton. I don't think she's going to go through, but she could be somebody that does block somebody from going through. So I'm going to say Koki Amare. I'm going to go with Rea Seto, buddy. But that, again, that's the hardest one for me to call.
With all the respect and love in the world, I feel like if Megaton is able to trip you up going through to the block, you don't deserve to go through. Just pointing that out there. I mean, Megaton's singles record is appalling in Marigold. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Especially if you do have those Yano style matches, there's no way in hell you would have Yano beating the likes of a Zack Sabre Jr. or a Kenny Omega in any sort of singles setting whatsoever. But the G1 rolls around and suddenly Yano is able to beat absolutely anyone, even if it is by gaffer taping him to a ring apron.
Didn't he
so who knows?
Too? Didn't he tape Moxley to the guardrail and won by count out?
It was, because I think Mox at that point was something like 5-0 in the tournament and was running away with it. And then he lost every single match after Yano. And there's that wonderful gif or wonderful meme of just Moxley in the middle of the ring like that. And just the face of Yano above him, which really made me laugh. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
that's
it was.
right,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, but I think he did beat Kenny Omega in the tournament as well when he had the DVD and there was powder in it. I know Japan's a crazy country, folks. So.
Don't know what you are implying there, Matt Turner. Let's move swiftly on.
I'm gonna have my tea. You continue, good sir.
That's absolutely right. Let's move on then. Just another brief mention of Mayu Iwatani, who, of course, released her autobiography 6 years ago. It really does not feel that long ago, but 6 years ago, Mayu Iwatani released her first autobiography. I'm not even going to bother trying to correctly give you the translated name of that. I believe it was something along the lines of how I became an icon of women's pro wrestling and a shut in and clumsy, or some variation of
Nailed
that
it.
title.
Nailed it.
Yeah. This one, significantly easy to pronounce. Phase 2. That is what the new autobiography is called. It will be, according to the Amazon page, because it is currently available for pre-orders. I believe it's due to be released, just having a look, here we go, September 9th, 2026 is when it is due to be released. It is due to cover the Budokan Hall show where she wrestled a lot of people who obviously had left the promotion, her decision to leave Stardom, battling over new titles, an unprecedented slump, which I presume is in relation to Rossy Ogawa's departure. All of that will be addressed in the new autobiography. Again, phase 2 due to be released on September 9th, 2026, currently available for pre-orders on Amazon, or at least the Japanese Amazon anyway. Moving on then, we have 2 full cards to go through. Marigold do return to the 176 box in Osaka on the 15th of August. And of course, these 2 tour shows are the first tour shows to feature both Mayu Iwatani and Victoria Yuzuki since the end of April. So it's really, really good to have them back. But the show on the 15th is as follows. We've got AI versus Nagisa Nozaki. We have got Chika Goto versus Megaton. 6-woman tag, Naoya Ishikawa, Shoko Kishino, and Hummingbird taking on Chiaki, Rea Seto, and Misa Matsui of the Darkness Revolution. Tag match then, we have got Miku Aono and Koki Amare versus Yuki Yamazaki and Shino. Yes, please. And then in your main event, Mai Sakurai, Natsumi Shozuki, and Aaliyah James are taking on the reformed Icon Picharo, Mayu Iwatani, Victoria Yuzuki, and Komomo Minami. Matt Turner, what are your thoughts about that card?
Solid show, especially those last 2. With Icon Pichero. Leah James getting, she's been having fantastic matches, but she's going to be in the ring with 2 of the best wrestlers in all of Joshi and Victoria Yuzuki and Mayu Iwatani. And Komomo Minami is only a few years away from being in that category because she's progressing really, really fast. The tag match that, again, if you're watching on YouTube on the screen here, of Yuki Yamazaki and Shino versus Miku Aono and Koki Amare, that's going to be fantastic. So nice solid undercard, and that 1-2 punch at the end is going to be chef's kiss for me. Really looking forward to that one, my friend.
We then move on to the 16th of August from Shibuya Sports Arena. We have got Aaliyah James versus AI. We have got a 3-way between Megaton, Shoko Kishino, and Rea Seto. So, you know, that is going to be absolutely nothing but serious. Tag team match, Twin Towers, Koki Amare and Chika Goto versus Naoya Ishikawa and Hummingbird.
Ooh.
Wouldn't mind that for the titles. I know. 6-woman tag, Le'Veon Rose, Natsumi Shozuki, Mai Sakurai, and Arina Yamanaka, fresh off a absolutely blistering new entrance theme. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, you simply don't like fun. Against the Darkness Revolution trio of Chiaki, Misa Matsui, and Nagisa Nozaki. And then in your main event, Mai Sakurai, Miku Aono, Shino, Yuki Yamazaki, again, against Icon Picharo, Mayu Iwatani, Komomo Minami, and Victoria Yuzuki. Matt Turner, your thoughts on that, please?
Quite possibly in the main event, my friend. That might be your preview of your Grand Destiny main event. That's a good possibility. And then plus again, I loving the team of Shino and Yuki Yamazaki. I think they're neat, Rob, to continue on with the trend. I just think that they're neat. And
Neat,
she
man.
throws a lot of knees is that one Shino. Boy howdy. Yeah, she's all ready to go. But it's gonna be interesting to see how, I would love to see her and Yuzuki. I'm excited for their back and forth because maybe that leads somewhere down the line to
Mm.
a future United National Championship match. Shino and Victoria Yuzuki. That's one that I would like to see. None of that, but I think that's one. I think Shino would be able to get a written excuse from her parents to leave school to go to do that match. I mean, if I was a teacher, I'd sign off. Rob, you're a teacher. You'd sign off on that. If you had Shino as a student and she's just like, Mr. Goodwin, I can't take this test. Why not? I'm wrestling Victoria Yuzuki in Corrigan Hall. And you'd be like A plus. Be like my accounting teacher in high school, my buddy Paul. Obviously, you know my buddy Paul.
I
He
love
came
Paul.
in during a test. He was hungover because it was the day after his birthday. Keep in mind, 21 is the legal drinking age. My accounting teacher, who was also my lifting coach, looked at me and goes, "Is that true? Is today's birthday?" I said, "Yes." And he was hungover. He took this test up, he ripped it up, and he gave him 100. I'm not even joking. And that man is now the mayor of my hometown. That goes to show
Incredible.
you the delinquency that runs through this brain, my man. Anywho, I'm really looking forward to all these matches. Again, especially Icon Pichero versus Shino Yuki Yamazaki and Miku Aono.
Let's kick into the first of these three shows then. And because we've got multiple shows to talk about, these first two shows, so the show from the second in Arc Rea Himeji in Himeji, we are just going to talk about a couple of matches in detail, which means, again, we get to hear those beautiful dulcet tones as Matt delivers his match ratings. We will be doing the same for the Shinjuku Face show as well. But we'll start with Night 9 of the Burning Desire Tour, which took place on the 2nd of August. This was on Wrestle Universe and came from, as I mentioned, the Arc Rea Himeji in Himeji. An attendance of 422 people, which is a really good attendance, especially with this being the first time Marigold will have run this venue. So, looking through these results, and we'll start with the singles match. Chiaki defeating AI with the Moonwolf in 9 minutes and 23.
3 1/4 stars.
Three-way match next. Misa Matsui defeating Rea Seto and Megaton. Misa Matsui basically assaulting Paul Megaton with her Darkness Revolution teammate, pinning her with the diving double foot stomp in 7 minutes and 6 seconds.
This was, poor Megaton. Anywho, 3 1/4 stars.
Couldn't even give her a pity 3.5 stars, Matt. Unbelievable.
I felt bad. I told you when we previewed this, I'm like, that's going to be a 2-on-1 beatdown. That's what it was.
It was.
Like that's what it was. It was bullying. I don't like bullies, buddy. It was bullying.
Paul Megaton. Singles match, Nagisa Nozaki defeated Naoya Ishikawa with the Doll Mill in 9 minutes and 2 seconds.
3 3/4 stars.
Tag team action, the Twin Towers, Koki Amare and Chika Goto, defeated Yuki Yamazaki and Aaliyah James. Koki Amare pinning Aaliyah James with the Amethyst Butterfly in 14 minutes and 23 seconds.
3 3/4 stars.
And then in your main event, 6-woman tag action, Miku Aono, Komomo Minami, and Shino defeating Hummingbird, Natsumi Shozuki, and Mai Sakurai. Komomo Minami breaking out the German suplex to pin Hummingbird in 16 minutes and 50 seconds.
4 stars.
It's not going to be the last time we talk about that German suplex either. As I mentioned, we're not going to go through every match. We're just going to start with Nagisa Nozaki and Naoya Ishikawa, a match that we now know we are going to get again during the Dream Star map. But I know that you were a big fan of this match, presumably because you are a big fan of Naoya Ishikawa, and when Naoya Ishikawa is allowed to wrestle.
This was great wrestling. It was hard hitting. Like there was a lot of great holds. Like obviously I liked, the forearms, the kicks, the knees, like hitting hard in safe places. But you're locking a good hold. And there were some great headlock exchanges here. Again, really making the believability of these matches. Like these two don't like each other. And this got violent really fast. You get a forearm exchange between the two. Nagisa with a rear naked choke and then a big Joshi style drop kick. And then Naoya Ishikawa, she comes back with the again more forearms, big tackles, big slam. She hits that beautiful underhook suplex. But eventually, though, it is Nagisa Nozaki putting away one on Naoya Ishikawa, using the rear naked choke, forcing Naoya Ishikawa to tap out. Again, 3 3/4 stars. This was exactly what I wanted to be. Naoya Ishikawa showing that fighting spirit, showing that fighting style. Again, obviously, we're building Nagisa up towards her championship match, which we'll get into at the end of this podcast. But now Ishikawa really brought the fire to her. And then, as you said before, buddy, we're going to get this again in the Dream Star because they both are in the same block.
Moving on then, the Twin Towers versus Yuki Yamazaki and Aaliyah James. Now, what I do like about the way that they have built the Twin Towers title match ahead of Summer Destiny is that they haven't just built the two teams against each other, they have built the individual battles. So they've built Koki Amare and Shino, and they've built the partnership of Chika Goto and Yuki Yamazaki. And I thought it was really good that a lot of the focus in this match was on Yuki Yamazaki, who I think is so underappreciated sometimes, especially when she is in matches with the likes of Shino and Nagisa Takibana and Victoria Yuzuki and Kamomo Minami. Yuki Yamazaki is so good. And again, the facials during that title match at Summer Destiny were tremendous. Aaliyah James, I thought, was a really, really good hand in this match, even if she did ultimately take the pinfall. What were your thoughts? And what are your thoughts on the build? And again, we're going to talk about this in the Shinjuku face review as well, because we get it there as well. What are your thoughts on the build of those individual battles?
I think they've been great in the fact that we're getting more Chika Goto and Koki Amare. I know there's been a lot of non-title matches because we knew who our number one contenders, our big title match is going to be, but you're getting them to gel more. We're getting to see them more. I think Chika Goto's been at her best when she's with Koki Amare, and Koki Amare is at her best when we're Chika Goto. So even though the belts aren't on the line, you're still seeing the best tag team in Marigold because they are the champions, and they're across the ring on these shows against a Yuka and or a Shino, again, to build up the championship match that we're going to be talking about. The one thing with Aaliyah James, she came in her first handful of matches, not a lot of time, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, tag matches, 7-8 minutes. This going over 14, I think, was a great way for Aaliyah James to show the Marigold audience, the fan base, i.e. us, how great she is. And again, we're going to see her in the Dream Star Grand Prix. Obviously, I'm really excited that she's getting that opportunity. And I thought she was great here, but ultimately what it comes down to, the psychology was very simple. It made sense. What it came down to is just the tag team work. Obviously, Goto and Amare are a tag team. Again, they're the best tag team in all of Marigold. And again, you can probably put them in the top 5 or top 6 this year as one of the best tag teams in all of Joshi. That's how good they have become and are going to continue to be. So ultimately, though, yeah, it's just the great teamwork from Koki Amare and Chika Goto here that really gets the job done. But I thought Leah James looked great here. Hits the backcracker, and then she hits the big drop kick. But again, then it's the Twin Towers of Koki and Chika Goto coming with the double suplex, the double boots. Leah James comes in with the big pop-up DDT to try to save the day here, but eventually, though, it's just too much double teaming from Goto and Amare, the double back suplex, leading to Koki Amare hitting the Amethyst butterfly for the 3 count. Again, 3 and 3/4 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I can't say enough great things about how much better Goto and Amare are getting, not only as individuals, but teamwork as well.
What do you think their ceiling is as a tag team? I know that you put on social media about them being, how much they've improved. Obviously, to me at least, obviously we saw a tag match at Summer Destiny that was quite possibly my match of the year. I thought it was tremendous in all facets. And those two tag teams far outweigh the Twin Towers, at least right now.
Sure.
So where do you think the ceiling is for the Twin Towers? Have they got the potential to reach that sort of, at this point, almost mythical level of a Spark Rush, or even the team of Mayu Iwatani, Victoria Yuzuki? Are we going to be talking about them in the same breath as someone like a Magenta or, a Red Energy or something like that? Or are they going to be a step below those teams when they've hit their prime?
Well, right now, I think they are, just because, again, because of the injuries and the start and stop. And again, things just happen. Now we're finally seeing them, full pedal to the metal. So they don't have the cachet of a Magenta, a Spark Rush, an O2 line, a Red Energy. Not just yet. Not unless they're ready to pull the trigger on the big singles run for either of these two. I keep them in the tag division. Rob, I keep them tag champs for over a year. I mean, not unless there's something where something really, really clicks where it's nah, we need to give the push to either Goto or Amare. That's what I would do. Not only that, but we know that there's gonna be bigger things for Victoria Yuzuki. She's gonna be a champion with this company, rightfully so. Again, I think Mayu might be the one to unseat Miku Aono for that red belt. Again, more on that later. But if you're not going to put the tag belts on Victoria Yuzuki or Mayu Iwatani, why not have in Korakuen Hall Yuzuki and Mayu challenge Amare and Goto and have Amare and Goto go over? Like put them over, like really put the like you have nothing to lose. You really have nothing to lose. So I mean, that's I don't think there is a ceiling. I just don't think their ceiling exists. I've been so impressed with them. They're constantly getting better, connecting more with the audience, having great matches. But the matches they're having great are the matches they're having great matches with. I know I said matches a lot aren't against the tippy tier because we haven't seen it yet. Like put Miku Aono and Natsumi Shozuki as a tag team and let them wrestle them. Have as I just said, have them wrestle Mayu and Yuzuki, or have them, or if you don't want to have Yuzuki or Mayu eat a fall, do Mayu and Kamo Manami or Victoria Yuzuki and Kamo Manami, or do both. Like they can really do some special things with them as tag champions. So I just don't think they have a ceiling. I'm massively impressed with them. And again, I mentioned on social media and on my quick review over on TikTok for my Summer Destiny that I don't think they're too far behind a lot of those great teams. I mean, I really don't, considering again how much cachet, like Spark Rush is on another level right now. It's almost like it's unreal what they're doing. And so the fact that Suri is arguably wrestler of the year as a singles wrestler and as a tag wrestler, I don't think it's ever happened in the history of pro wrestling. The fact that she's able to divide her time up and give us that high quality matches, but again, the fact that I putting them in the same category as an O2 line and a Red Energy really goes to show you how impressed I am with them. And I think all systems go. I just don't think you take the belts off, or you can have them take the belts off them and have them chase. I don't think you break them up while there's a lot of steam behind them. And you can do special things with the tag division. Again, it's another main event you can put in a Korakuen Hall to draw money. And then obviously again you have Mayu as your Superfly champion. You have Miku Aono as your red belt champion, and you have Victoria Yuzuki as your United National champion. So you have a lot of great talented wrestlers holding belts in Marigold, which is a really good thing, which is really what you want. So I just really don't think there's any ceiling on them. As long as the booking makes sense and as long as, hey, there's gas in the tank, don't park the car yet. Just keep going. Just keep going.
We move on to the main event then. Miku Aono, Komomo Minami, and Shino against Mai Sakurai, Natsumi Shozuki, and Hummingbird. Love a little preview for Komomo Minami and Hummingbird ahead of the opener for Summer Destiny, which was a really, really good opener. Pardon me for that show. But what were your thoughts on this, Matt? Because I imagine the tease of Miku Aono and Natsumi Shozuki again was more than you could handle.
Yeah, that was really good. We started with some great wrestling, great wrist lock exchanges with Shino and Hummingbird. I'm like, oh, this was really great technical wrestling. And then Sakurai gets in there and she's like, enough with your fancy wrestling. And she starts throwing down with Shino. And Shino's like, don't you remember my debut match? I dropped you on your head.
Literally the first move.
I think it was like the first match and the first move. Like, oh, geez.
Goodness gracious.
Buckle up, folks. We're in for this one. But yeah, we had some really great exchanges. Again, some Superfly high-speed style exchanges with Hummingbird and Kamo Manami. But yeah, the little bit we got with Natsumi Shozuki and Miku Aono. Again, they're in the same block in the Dream Stars we just mentioned, which I'm really, really excited about. But really, towards the end, we have a lot of great teamwork here with Natsumi Shozuki and Mai Sakurai. We've been saying that quite a bit when Arina Yamayaka was out with that eye injury that she had, as you had 2/3 of the 3D Trios champions. And they did have a crack at Koki Amare and Chikagoto. So we had a lot of team up there. And again, Miku Aono and Mai Sakurai, they have quite a bit of history between the United National Championship match they had at the very first stream and then the one that we were at, Rob, just a handful of months ago. So there's a lot of violence there. I'll tell you what, Shino and Kamo Manami, they seem to work really well in the pairing we had. Ultimately, we get towards the end here. We get this little mini match with Hummingbird and Kamo Manami. Didn't know which way it was going to go. You do have Team Miku Aono making the save and Team Mai Sakurai making the save, but ultimately it is Kamo Manami putting away Hummingbird with a really, really great German suplex. Great job on the build-up. Great snap on it. Great form. She had the bridge on the toes, Rob, very much like one Kurt Hennig or one Tam Nakano. The bridging on the toes there. Great form from Kamo Manami. Let's get Kamo Manami a bunch of wins with the German suplex. As much as I love the Komomo clutch, the German suplex, though, is a thing of beauty, my friend. So it's my favorite match of the show. 4 stars for me, brother.
I mean, she'd refined it by Summer Destiny because she damn near dropped Hummingbird on her head in Ota Ward. It was a thing of beauty. Let's move on then to the show from Shinjuku Face, then night 10 of the Burning Desire tour, 4th of August 2026, live from Wrestle Universe. Now, the announced attendance inside Shinjuku Face was 232. Now, this is a 28.62% decrease on the company's previous house in Shinjuku Face, and it now becomes the lowest they've ever drawn to the venue, with this being a 5.3% decrease on their previous lowest, which was 245 back in May of 2026. It's a shame, actually, because this show was really good, had some real nuggets on here that are worth your time. Again, we're just going to go through a couple of matches from this show, but Matt will give you the sensual match reviews. We opened with a singles match, Megaton defeating AI with the super Megaton press in 7 minutes and 52 seconds.
3.5 stars. This one overachieved, my man. This one really overachieved for me.
Singles match. So this was initially supposed to be Shoko Kashino versus Hummingbird, but for unknown reasons, Shoko Kashino was unable to appear on the show and instead enlisted crowd favorite, our Lord and Savior, the Flying Penguin. She did return to have what can only be described as a bird off with Hummingbird. It did end in a no contest because Chiaki had seen too much of that. That ended in 7 minutes and 49 seconds.
Yeah, 3.25 stars, and Chiaki, depending on how you look at it, might have became the biggest baby face in the company, and then turned heel. Then turned heel during the next match we're going to talk about.
Well, that match was as follows: an 8-woman tag team match. The Daughters Revolution team of Nagisa Nozaki, Rea Seto, Misa Matsui, and Chiaki defeated Mai Sakurai, Irini Yamanaka, Natsumi Shozuki, and Nao Ishikawa. Nagisa Nozaki pinning Nao Ishikawa again, this time with the Noir Lancer in 13 minutes and 15 seconds.
3.75 stars.
Singles match, Chi-Chi defeating Aaliyah James with a backdrop in 13 minutes and 15 seconds, continuing her dominant singles run in Marigold in what is, in my mind at least, Aaliyah James' best Marigold performance so far.
I agree, brother. Loved it. 4.25 stars.
And then in your 6-woman tag team main event, Miku Aono, Shino, and Yuka Yamazaki defeated Komomo Minami, Chika Goto, and Koki Amare. Yuka Yamazaki getting the pin over Komomo Minami with her really cool modified schoolboy, which they don't have a name for yet, and I really want them to come up with a name. 17 minutes and 14 seconds that main event went.
4.25 stars. What if we called the Mad Dog roll-up?
Oh, the Mad Dog roll-up. I love it.
MDRU. Right?
Oh, I love it. Absolutely.
And just think of the t-shirts. You can have a dog rolling around and then getting the high angle hook.
There you go. I mean, it writes itself. I mean, they haven't quite yet started calling the Mai Sakurai elbow drop the Goodwin elbow drop, which is just disgraceful. But I reckon we can get that one over. We just need to keep plugging it. We need to keep being relentless with it.
That's what we'll do, buddy, because you know what? I think people think that we're neat.
I also think people think that we're neat. We're going to talk about Chi-Chi versus Aaliyah James to begin with. And again, we've both been full of praise, really, for the way that Aaliyah James has acclimatized to the Japanese style of wrestling. I think this was, for me at least, and now I know for you as well, by far her standout performance so far in Marigold. I think Chi-Chi is tremendous. I think has been the shot in the arm that Marigold needed as they sort of made their way slowly towards Summer Destiny. That feud between Chi-Chi and young Marigold has been brilliant, and long may it continue, as obviously we know that Chi-Chi and Victoria Yuzuki are going to be in the same block in the Dream Star. But this was great, Matt, and another notch in the belt of Chi-Chi.
Yeah, again, I mentioned before about how Aaliyah James finally getting time in the ring. 13 minutes. They told a bunch of stories here. You start out with some great wrestling, headlock exchanges. You get a couple near falls early on in the match just to get the people to think, this one may end early. Then we go back to some great technical wrestling. And Aaliyah James did this snap suplex right into a bridge. It was like the Dynamite Kid style, like snap suplex, and then bridge right into a pin. I thought that was really, really neat. Chi-Chi comes back with the Joshi style dropkick and a running boot, and then that our patented split leg drop, our leg drop for a 2 count. We get a forearm exchange and then a boot exchange. So now we're going from great wrestling to great hard hitting. We know Chi-Chi's a hard hitter. We've been watching her wrestle in the Sendai Girls, obviously here in Marigold. She's had a couple of matches over there in the Surrealism shows as well as Stardom. So we know she's a hard hitter. And Aaliyah James was not backing down. She was really bringing the fight to Chi-Chi. So we do know that Aaliyah James does have a great background in striking. We know she's got a lot of fight, a lot of fighting spirit as well. Boot exchange, kick exchange. Chi-Chi hits a stiff slap, and then Aaliyah James comes back with a huge super kick and a spear for a 2 count. Eventually, Chi-Chi comes back with a head kick and this beautiful snap Saito suplex for the 3 count. Again, Rob, this told so many different stories, the great technical wrestling, the great back and forth with the pins, the great hard-hitting action, and then it took just an insane head dump to put away Aaliyah James. Even though Aaliyah James eating the L here, I thought she came out of this show, maybe the MVP. I thought maybe she would look the best. Like if the job here was, hey, we need to make Aaliyah James look really good so people get excited for her run the Dream Star Grand Prix. Job well done, Marigold, because even in a loss, I thought Aaliyah James was fantastic here. And I totally agree. This is the best outing so far of one Aaliyah James. I wouldn't be shocked if we're saying that a few times during her run in the Dream Star. And again, Chi-Chi is fantastic. I'm so excited she's in this year's Dream Star. In the block that she's in, too, buddy.
Absolutely. Main event then, of course, Yuki Yamazaki and Shino would, of course, be taking on Twin Towers for the titles at Summer Destiny. So a little preview there. But Komomo Minami and Miku Aono, they've had a lot of singles matches throughout the year. Komomo Minami progressively getting better and better and putting on more of a competitive performance. I cannot wait for that eventual red belt shot that Komomo Minami is going to get. Now, I don't think it's going to come against Miku Aono because I think it will be Mayu that beats Miku Aono. But the moment it comes is going to be sensational. It really is because, again, what she's done in a short space of time when someone needed to step up and not get injured was fantastic. And I hope she reaps the rewards of this. And I hope she continues in that position and isn't shunted back down the card when Seriyama Oka comes back and now that Mayu and Victoria Yuzuki are back. You know, and if Suri gets more of a prominent role in Marigold in the next couple of months.
You're absolutely right, partner. Yeah, she was terrific here. And did you see that interview or hear about that interview that Chika Goto did about where she's been getting her inspiration from over the last few months?
All Japan.
She watched a lot of All Japan 90s. I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense.
I mean, it makes sense for the finisher that she hit in the Twin Star title match, yes.
Yeah, because she's been doing the Emerald Frozen. She's really been throwing those Stan Hansen-esque lariats, a lot of Jumbo Saruta. I see in that, and obviously, again, the Holy Demon Army finisher, which I was like, oh, sweet, they're doing the Holy Demon Army finisher to set up for the Amethyst Butterfly. Like, now we know why. So good on, first of all, good on Chika Goto and Koki Amare. You can tell they're putting in, as you say, buddy, the hard yards. They're getting consistently better. Again, especially Chika Goto. The fact that she's like, well, what can I add on? Let me watch some All Japan from like the 80s and 90s. So you go, Chica. But yeah, they were terrific here. Her and Miku Aono, Koki Amare, Chika Goto and Miku Aono had a really great exchange, as well as Koki Amare and Miku Aono. That wouldn't be a match, Rob, that I wouldn't mind seeing. And we don't know how the playoffs are going to shake out. I don't think they announced how those brackets are going to be. But what if it's Koki Amare that knocks out Miku Aono in the playoff bracket? And then somewhere maybe in a Korakuen leading up to Summer Destiny, we get a Koki Amare versus Miku Aono match. Wouldn't say no to that. Ultimately, what this match was, other than awesome, was we got another preview for the tag team title match. We're going to be talking about just a little bit with the Twin Towers versus Yuki Yamazaki and Shino. And they just keep giving us a little more. But I like this towards the end. Komomo Minami hits the Fisherman's Screw for a 2 count. We get the double big boot from the tag team champions to Yuki Yamazaki. We get the Holy Demon Army finisher onto Yuki Yamazaki. And then Komomo Minami goes to put away Yuka after the tag champs have done all the hard work with the German suplex. However, it is the Mad Dog roll up, rolling around in the mud, rolling around for that stick. But it doesn't find a stick. Found a 3 count, buddy. found the 3 count. Yuki Yamazaki picking or the ball, the tennis ball, right? You know,
Yeah, sure, why not?
that's what my dog played with when I was a little kid. Getting the 3 count, 4 stars for me, or 4.25 stars, excuse me. I think I like the Chi-Chi match just a little bit better, but I thought this was great. Again, a solid show that really ended with 2 must-see matches. So again, Marigold continue to building that momentum going into Summer Destiny, and then obviously the Dream Star coming up here in just a few weeks' time.
Well, let's talk about Summer Destiny then. The big show that aired live again on Wrestle Universe, 9th of August 2026, from Ibarra Wave Arena, Ota, formerly Ota Ward City General Gymnasium. Initially, this was slated to be a pay-per-view. Of course, it wasn't. Originally, this was slated to have English commentary. Of course, it did not. The announced attendance inside the venue, 1,310 is the official number coming out of Marigold. Now, this is a 6.5% increase on the company's previous attendance at the venue, which was 1,230 on the 26th of May for Shine Forever. Now, though this is a much needed increase, certainly it's still the second lowest the company have drawn to Ota Ward City Gymnasium in Tokyo. Now, obviously, they have only run 4 shows there. The other 2 shows drawing in excess of 1,800. So still a decrease from those 2, but any upwards momentum is good momentum. So I'm sure Marigold will take that 6.5% increase. We will be going through each of these matches, so I will just read through very quickly the results. Singles match, we open the show with Komomo Minami and her brand new gear and her brand new music, defeating Hummingbird with the German suplex in 6 minutes and 7 seconds. Tag team action, Shoko Kishino and Aaliyah James defeated Naoi Ishikawa and AI. Shoko pinning AI with the liner splash in 12 minutes and 17 seconds. Surprised that one got as much time as it did, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Megaton's Great Adventure, Unagi Sayaka, the worst kept secret in professional wrestling. She was the mystery opponent. She defeated Megaton with the Jojon Topper in 7 minutes and 39 seconds. And then we had the Marigold 3D Trios Championship match. Darkness Revolution, Rea Seto, Misa Matsui, and Chiaki defeated the champions Le'Veon Rose, despite their brand new entrance robes and their brand new music. Mai Sakurai and Natsumi Shozuki and Arina Yamanaka. Rea Seto submitting Mai Sakurai with the cattle mutilation in 15 minutes and 5 seconds, again, to become the second champions, ending the reign of Le'Veon Rose at 167 days. Rea Seto getting her first title in Marigold on the 2nd anniversary of her Marigold debut. Marigold Twin Star Championship match, the Twin Towers, Kokiyamare and Chikagoto, they retained their belts against Shino and Yuki Yamazaki. Chikagoto pinning Shino with the Goton Special in 13 minutes and 27 seconds. Tag team action in the semi-main event, and predictably, what a match. Spark Rush, Takumi Iroha and Suri defeated Mayu Iwatani and Victoria Yuzuki. Suri pinning Yuzuki with Yoranagi in 19 minutes and 13 seconds. And then in your main event, Marigold World Championship match, Miku Aono, the champion, defended her belt successfully for the 6th time, defeating Nagisa Nozaki with, of all things, a lariat in 18 minutes and 41 seconds. And we'll be talking about that in a moment. Before we get into this, Matt, Rossi did announce prior to the show that Miku Aono and Nagisa Nozaki would be main eventing this show. And he said something rather interesting. Something interesting if you're Utami Hayashishita anyway, about how nothing should be bigger than the championship. So that's why it main evented. And I completely agree with that sentiment. I want that on record. I completely agree with that sentiment. Does beg the question why Utami didn't main event that many shows as Red Belt champion, but that might be me being slightly picky.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but brother, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely. When we talk about Utami Hayashishita on the Stardom cast, the non-playoff Utami, hi. Yeah, that's ooh, you want to talk about a booking decision. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that plays. I'm excited. I can't wait to talk to you about that on the Stardom cast later on this week, brother. But I did see that, and I was like, okay, good on you, because I know a lot of people after the show was over, like this shouldn't have main evented. It shouldn't. It should have been the tag match. The main event kind of almost suffered because the crowd was just exhausted from it. And I'll say this: we've seen Rossi do it before. Again, Io Shirai's final match in Stardom wasn't the main event, and it was Mayu and Io versus versus Hazuki and Kagetsu. The main event of that show, Rob, as you know, was Momo Watanabe versus Jungle Kyona for the Wonder Belt. Wasn't even the red belt, the Wonder Belt. So totally see your point. It puts the belt over, puts more prestige on. And not only what it does is like if you're Miku Aono, you're not Sumi Shozuki. You know the match going on before is going to be slightly above average. It puts pressure, good pressure, on the main event. Now, was the main event excellent? Yes. Was as good as this match? No, or the tag match? We're gonna do no, no, it wasn't. But at the same time, it just goes to show you to anybody that's going to be a champion, a future champion in this company, that if Rossi does bring in somebody big, that you got to really have your working boots on. And again, if you think about it, you go back to Summer Destiny, Rob, the very first Summer Destiny. You and Utami was not the main event; it was Serena and Julia. So again, it just goes to show, and hopefully he keeps up with that sentiment. Hopefully he's like, hey, I said it. Obviously, I haven't done it in the past, and poor Utami has suffered from it. But hey, stick to your guns and stick with it, because who knows who's coming in and out of this promotion. Again, look, you got Suri, Takumi Roha. We got a relationship with Marvelous, and hopefully we do see some more Marvelous wrestlers coming in. Who knows? We have Io parachuted in once a year, and who knows if she's going to be on that Grand Destiny show coming up in the fall. So just goes to show you, if you're going to be red belt champion, whether you're Mayu, Yuzuki, Miku Aono, Megaton, that you better really have your working boots on.
Absolutely. And it is worth pointing out that Utami did lose the belt in the main event when it was Mayu versus Io at Grand Destiny. The red belt did main event there, but she didn't. I don't think she main evented a pay-per-view between gaining the belt and losing the belt.
Mayu and Io was the main event, buddy.
Was it? Oh, yes, of course it was. Of course it was.
Because we were like, when we did our predictions and they gave we weren't sure which way we were going to go. And once we saw Utami and Miku Aono wasn't the main event, like they're not going to change the belt in the non-main event. And they did by beating Utami with their own finish.
With her own move, and then she's never used it since. Which, made it was a strange decision then. I still don't particularly understand it, but there we are. He's a better man than I am to try and book a promotion. So there you go. No, you're absolutely right. You and Mayu did main event. I don't know where I got that from. Anyway, final thing I wanted to ask you. Obviously, there was rumors abound that oh god, my microphone's just fallen out of its stand.
Just hit you in the eye, buddy.
There we go. Yeah, Jesus.
My eye.
About my eye. It's not enough. That's 70 show references.
No, I was doing Terry Funk. My eye, Lawler. My eye, Lawler. You took my eye.
And I was doing Aston Kutcher. Two very different.
That's a match I want to see. Terry Funk versus Aston Kutcher. Aston Kutcher. You're never
mind. There was rumors abound that KAIRI may make an appearance of some description. Obviously, she did an interview where she said she had been in communication with some Japanese promotions. Obviously, there is a litany of sort of history between KAIRI and Rossi, and of course Mayu as well. There was some thoughts that with the 90-day non-compete up, that maybe we saw KAIRI in some fashion during this show. Obviously, that didn't happen. People seem to believe now that the window has passed, that KAIRI may potentially maybe show up in AEW, maybe show up in the States. What are your thoughts? Did you expect a KAIRI appearance? Did you think it might happen? Do you think it still happens in Marigold because of that relationship between KAIRI and Rossi? Or do you think it's a case of AEW or Stardom?
Man, that's a great question, because I was hoping it would be Marigold, because they need the firepower. And plus, it'd be really cool to see her working with the Yuzuki, maybe back with the Suri and doing something again with Mayu. But you have to understand, obviously, KAIRI's non-compete is over. And I know she has her hand in a lot of other different pies, Rob, as you would say. but she's not getting any income from actually wrestling in the ring. Again, I'm sure she has money, but she's still making that action figure money because that money always rolls in. But eventually, you got to see her pop up somewhere, whether it's a Marigold, whether it's a Stardom, or it's AEW. I'm hoping it's Marigold, but I just think because Stardom is such a bigger company and they can offer her more money, because you don't go to the biggest wrestling company and then obviously you lose your job. You know that they released her, but then you have all these other big wrestling companies that want her in AEW and a Stardom. Then just to go to like, I know it sounds disrespectful, the third, fourth biggest Joshi because of your loyalty to Ross. I can see a shot here or there, but she'd be making more money on an AEW slash Stardom platform. Again, not unless she does freelance, which might be the best for everybody because seems to be working with Sari, seems to be working for Mirai, seems to be working for Unagi, not just for their pocketbook, for us fans, the fact that they're walking in between worlds and we can see them as much as we can. So I mean, I guess it's a possibility, but I think we're gonna see Kyrie pop up sooner than later. But like where? Is it going to be on the finals of the Dream Star? Is it gonna be on the finals of the 5-star? I mean, I don't know. Maybe we see her in London, buddy. Maybe we'll know when we're in that parking lot at Wembley and we see a pirate ship go by. We're like, something's afoot here, buddy. But right now, I would say that I think the safe bet for if I'm betting, I'm going to say it's an AEW Stardom for Kyrie. But again, I'm just going on a whim here. Again, I would love to see her in a Marigold. I think she fit in perfect with this roster. It would give Marigold the boost that they need. Again, the show's been great, but attendance wise, they can use a little help. And obviously, Kyrie is going to be a massive help. But let's say you, buddy, where do you think that the Pirate Princess will land?
I certainly don't think the window's closed for her to show up in Marigold. I wonder if they didn't necessarily want the shine taken off the Dream Star announcements, perhaps, with the Dream Star Grand Prix coming up. I think if KAIRI doesn't come in for Grand Destiny, I don't think she goes to Marigold. I personally think that is the window. Obviously, it's Ryogoku. You want a good house in Ryogoku. Obviously, they've been able to parachute EO in for those two shows before. I'd be surprised if they do it a third year in a row. We know it's not cheap for Marigold to do that. And you need to start relying on your own roster as well, of course. But with it being Ryogoku, the only show they do at Ryogoku this year, with, the idea of Marigold wanting for the first time to do 4 pay-per-views in a year, and through very little fault of their own, they've ended up just doing 1 so far. You want to make this pay-per-view memorable. There's a part of me that wonders whether they'll do KAIRI and Mayu again. But I feel like if KAIRI is not on the card for Grand Destiny, I don't think she comes to Marigold. I think we will see her at some point on Natsupoi retirement road, somewhere down the line, maybe on a produce show of some description, so that perhaps she's not affiliated with Stardom if they don't want her to do that. The option's plentiful. Obviously, the main thing is that KAIRI is making that money. That's what we really want. We want KAIRI to make a lot of money because she's fantastic. And I felt like she was a bit unfairly shafted when it came to the WWE, when she was right in the middle of a storyline and stuff like that. But there we are. Unfortunately, that happens in this business. But yeah, I think if she doesn't appear at Marigold Grand Destiny, she'll be in the States.
None of that, Rob. When we met KAIRI last year in Vegas, she gave us gifts.
She did. I've got mine just up there somewhere. I think it's behind my my notice board.
Oh, well, there you go. KAIRI Megaton, right? Like that's 10,000.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, the only question is do you main event it or do you just run it as a 1-match show?
Like Unagi.
Like Unagi. What else? I mean, you could run it in the car parks. I don't think Ryogoku has got the capacity for that.
Do you run that in the Tokyo Dome and then kind of just hold the door and then you just put these giant screen TVs on there? Like, you know what I mean?
Like they do for the US Open and Wimbledon and stuff, so you can watch it on the banks and things. I think that's the only way you can contain the aura that you would have in that match. I mean, obviously you've got KAIRI's very dramatic entrance, the wheel, the piracy, the water on the screen, the incredible theme. You got Megaton doing the R and presumably brandishing a fork.
The whistle.
The whistle, absolutely. I mean, the auras are matched, certainly. But yes, I mean, obviously, who wouldn't love to see KAIRI mix it up with the likes of Victoria Yuzuki, Kamomo Minami, Miku Aono, a rematch with Mayu? I think it would benefit the roster massively to have a big name in that's not just Mayu. An established name that you aren't trying to build on anyway. There's a part of me I'm not sure about. I don't think it'll happen.
There's actually, I want to do one funny thing and then one serious thing. Obviously,
Okay.
Yeah. So you're gonna think this is the serious thing, but it's actually the funny thing. Did you ever see Metallica 1991 when they played in Russia? It was like 500,000 people there.
Yeah, terrifyingly huge crowd.
Well, not only that, but then you had like the helicopters going by to control the crowd. That's what Megaton versus KAIRI would be like, right? You need the helicopters to control the crowd.
Riot gear, everything, yeah.
Yeah. Now here's the serious thing, because I was just saying, and I was even thinking in my head, like, where would KAIRI fit in any, like, she'll be great, but like there's no scenario. Like Utami came in. Like when Utami announced she was leaving, I'm like, she's leaving to go back to Stardom because they have this whole big Saya thing. It's right there. It was clearly right there. Now I'm like, well, they don't have, like, where would KAIRI, where's the story? I'm like, I got it, because I'm looking at this picture. Mayu's two understudies have gotten beat up by Sari, Kamomo Minami, and Victoria Yuzuki. So what if Mayu's like, I need to go to somebody that can have my back? What if they do Mayu and KAIRI versus Spark Rush? Or Mayu, KAIRI, and Victoria Yuzuki versus Spark Rush and Chi-Chi? Or Rob, I'll do you one better. Throw in Miku Kunai, because she's like part of Team Sari. So you have Chi-Chi, Sari, Takumi Roha, and Miku Kunai versus Mayu, KAIRI, Victoria Yuzuki, and Kamomo Minami. 8-person tag. You put in Korakuen Hall, do elimination style Survivor Series, and let it go an hour. Who wouldn't want to see that?
I mean, who wouldn't want to see that? No, you're absolutely right. That would slap. You could absolutely do that. I think the thing is, though, with her 90-day non-compete being up and Grand Destiny not being till October, there's got to be some manner of income between now. I mean, as we record this, it's the 11th of August. It's 2 months, over 2 months away till Grand Destiny. So maybe it is a little bit too far away, but I think that is Marigold's shot of having KAIRI. And if she doesn't appear at that shot, I just don't think it'll happen.
I do say that I will put a few bucks on it that KAIRI will show up in Sumo Hall, but I think it'll be for the other company, because I looked at what the New Japan's only opening up 13 sections of Sumo Hall for the G1 finals, where Stardom's opening up the whole thing. Stardom has sold out more sections than New Japan. So not unless New Japan opens it up more or their sections are bigger, because we talked about it. And I know this isn't the Stardom cast, Rob, but obviously we'll chat about it on the Stardom cast. Free plug for a show that I hope a lot of you guys are listening to. It's a good possibility that the 5-star outdraws the G1, which would just be insanity.
Let's talk about the way this show opened then. Opened with Kamomo Minami and Hummingbird. And Matt, again, I feel like I say this a lot nowadays. You always say start with a hot opener. This was your hot opener. I thought this was tremendous. You had Kamomo Minami coming out to introduce the show anyway, to talk about Arcade, coming out brand new gear, brand new music. Love the brand new music, by the way. And then had a really, really good match with Hummingbird. I actually wanted it to go a little bit longer. This was a tremendous opener.
Do you think it was smart to have a hot opener on a show that was called Summer Destiny, where your logo's the sun?
Had to happen. I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't go full bash at the beach and have like surfboards by the entrance and stuff like that.
We give Marigold so many ideas. Like the Mad Dog
roll up. Off, don't they?
Yeah, just bash at the beach. Nobody else is using it. Yeah, absolutely. The lifeguard stand, Megaton with the whistle, because that's what the lifeguard gets. Come on,
man. Seriously.
But this was a great pro wrestling match. You had the the big lockup. You had the wrist lock exchanges. You had the arm drag exchanges. Then they went into the super fly style. Again, I think one of these two fantastic wrestlers will be the one to unseat Mayu for that Superfly Championship. I think it's time for Mayu to move on and then bring somebody up from the middle of the card and not have Mayu put them over. Hummingbird's a great shout. Kamomo Manami as well. Kamomo Manami is in the same bracket as Mayu. Yes, she is. So now you can set it up there. But again, this was really kind of a fast-paced style. And you're absolutely right, buddy. 6 minutes, but they got a lot in here by not doing it. Wasn't like one of those, hey, we got 6 minutes and they did 1,000 moves. They did give time for this match to breathe. But yeah, 8-9 minutes, I thought I would have really benefit from. Kamomo Manami towards the end hits those shotgun knees into the fisherman screw for a 2 count. Hummingbird blocks the German suplex with the European clutch, and the way that she's been getting into that is more contrived in the best way possible. And Kamomo really sold it like she couldn't get out, and a lot of people bid on it as the finish. Eventually, though, Kamomo Manami hits the super kick and that beautiful German suplex, stacking Hummingbird right on the top of her neck, buddy. 3.5 stars. We mentioned about how Chikagoto and Kokiyamare, especially Chikagoto, is watching a lot of All Japan from the 80s and 90s. I have a feeling during the tape study, Kamomo Manami just happened to walk by a few times because that German suplex screamed Kawada, screamed Masawa. I mean, that was some high angle stuff there. If we go back and watch it, Kamomo Manami did protect Hummingbird. Love the match.
Yeah.
3.5 stars, buddy. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Started off with a hot opener, and this absolutely set the tone for the rest of the show.
It did. It really did. And it just made me laugh because I don't know if you remember this. There was a random match between Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal, where Randy Orton is just absolutely destroying the Bollywood boys. And he drops one of them on the announce table, genuinely that high on his neck that even Randy Orton pulls this face. And genuinely, after Kamomo Minami hits this German suplex, I swear she pulls that face. I swear she goes, although it might just be because she was in pain. I don't know, but it really did make me laugh because I was like, oh, that's a bit high. And then the camera zoomed into Kamomo's face. I was like, brilliant. But I like it as a finish, certainly, and I hope she continues using it.
Quick question. The guy from the Bollywood Boys, you think Randy Orton paid for his steak dinner that night?
I bloody hope so. Good Lord.
I hope so. Yeah, Randy Orton's a multi-millionaire. I'm sure he could afford a $50 steak dinner.
I mean, he needs to carry him out of the venue. Never mind, buy him dinner. We then moved on to a tag team match. Now Ishikawa and AI versus Shoko Kishino and Aaliyah James. Now, what I really like about Shoko Kishino is that she brings the energy, without a shadow of a doubt, with her song entrances. It's not quite Naho Yamada, but it's up that I know. I miss Naho Yamada. But she brings the energy. What made me laugh was that I don't know whether Aaliyah James hadn't been told that this is what Shoko Kishino's entrance is, or if she was just basically told she's going to sing, you just do you. But she looked so lost during this entrance. Shoko Kishino's giving it loads. She's high-fiving people in the crowd. It's a vibe. You're loving it. And Aaliyah James is just there in the background going, I don't know what to do right now. And it was genuinely making me chuckle because poor Aaliyah James was not a part of that entrance.
I think Aaliyah James, and again, I could have this wrong, I'm just putting my wrestling brain on, is that entrance is all about Shoko Kishino. It's not like her and Aaliyah James are normal tag team. No. So Aaliyah thought if I do anything, it might take away from Shoko's entrance, and that's kind of like what Shoko's known for. Again, we love Shoko Kishino, not getting a lot of wins, but lately has. She's starting to stack up some wins. So it's like, hey, let me get everything on the entrance. And Aaliyah James was just being unselfish. Was like, look, I'm not going to do anything to take away from this. And she didn't. However, Aaliyah James was highlighted really well in the match. Again, Rob, that's my wrestler brain. She's like, yeah, I'm just going to kind of just sit this one out. And Shoko, you do you, as you say, Rob, you do you. But she was highlighted again. I thought Aaliyah James was highlighted really well in this match. Lady AI consistently getting better. Again, closing a lot of the gaps. Like when it comes to the footwork, you can see her footwork getting better, her timing getting better. I thought Naomi Ishikawa and Lady AI made for a really great team. Shoko picking up the win here, but for me, the best parts of this match were the exchanges with Naomi Ishikawa and Aaliyah James. And I believe that was Aaliyah James' first match on this tour was against
Was.
Naomi Ishikawa, and I think like 4.5 minutes. And as good as the match was, I was so disappointed that didn't get time. But again, Elite James consistently getting more time, getting 12 minutes here. Yeah, you're right, buddy. I was shocked this got as much time as it did. I would have maybe shaved a minute or two off on this one and given it to the opener, but by no means did this drag. I thought this was terrific. Again, Lady AI is another one that seems to be ever improving, and I'm liking the bigger spotlight we're getting on now Ishikawa. But eventually, though, towards the end here, we do get Shoko Koshino putting away Lady AI with that beautiful top rope splash that was set up by that insane pop-up DDT from Aaliyah James. 3.5 stars for me.
Yeah, it was a really good match. Possibly one of AI's best. I did think it went a little bit long. It's for me at least. It started just to drag just a touch towards the end. I feel like there was a lot of build up to the finish that didn't quite need to happen. However, I liked Aaliyah James and Shoko as a team. I think AI's performance, because she took a lot of heat during this match, I think she was very good. I'm slightly disappointed that we still don't know why we didn't get Anri's debut, because initially this was supposed to be the rookie Anri's debut, and she was supposed to take on Naomi Ishikawa. There's still been no, at least that I've seen, there's still been no reports as to why that match was nixed from this show. But hopefully that'll come out in the coming days. But nevertheless, it did what it needed to do, Shoko Koshino, building up a momentum ahead of the Dream Star. And it's interesting because obviously we went through the leagues earlier. None of us mentioned Shoko Koshino at all with a possibility of getting through the blocks. Do you think there is any hope whatsoever that the alleged Flying Penguin soars to the top of the league?
Oh, sing your heart out, Rob. I don't think so.
No, neither do I. Not at all. Did make me laugh though, because genuinely, I didn't watch all of this live. I missed the first match live. Turned this on, and I genuinely thought it was Unagi from the back. They had the exact same hair, and because I knew I was expecting Unagi, I thought I'd missed the first two matches. And then I was like, "Why is Aaliyah James out with Unagi?" Oh, it's Shoko, right? Okay.
Why not?
Why not? Exactly. Why not? She would look less awkward during Unagi's entrance. Speaking of which, yes, it was Unagi Sayaka taking on Megaton. Matt, I'm not going to lie, I didn't rate this match because this was purely comedy. This was purely comedy. Unagi trying to almost coax Megaton like the Hulk. Like she was Black Widow and Megaton was the Hulk, trying to coax her down onto the mat so that she can pin her. And every time Megaton kicks out, Unagi's like, no, just lie down, and then cover, and then Megaton kicks out. We obviously did have the elastic band spot. We had a couple of those, and then we had Megaton just literally putting it on Unagi's face and just pinging it. But in terms of actual wrestling, there was the finishing move. There was the Jojon Topper, and then I think that might have legitimately been it. But again, it's Megaton. She offers something completely different. We're not going to get the conventional 5-star. We might give it 5 stars, but that's because we're weird. We're not going to get we're not going to get the conventional 5-star match out of Megaton. It's a case of she's there for the crowd. We were there when she had the match against Kuroshio Tokyo Japan, and the crowd were into it. Wrestling wise, nothing. Crowd wise, into it, and I think that's more what she offers. I'd love to see more Unagi in Marigold. She did cut a promo on Marigold,
on Rossi, yeah,
on Rossi as well, which I thought was good. I mean, this just speaking of Unagi, like it's night and day. Like, you can listen back in the Stardom Cast archives. I was not a fan of Unagi when she was in Stardom. I thought she was getting a push she did not deserve and that she couldn't cope with. And ironically, I really started to like her just as she got sacked or fired or whatever it was. And since being fired from Stardom, she has flourished. Like, she is a main eventer. She's a draw. She is someone who genuinely, I met someone during Wrestle Queendom week back in March who he doesn't follow any promotions. He follows Unagi. Like, he thinks she's fantastic. He will watch anything that Unagi is in. So whether that is Seedling, whether that is Wave, whether that is Unagi's 435 produce shows, whether it's Oz Academy, he will just watch that. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, she is doing tremendous work, and good for her. I selfishly would love to see her more in Marigold, and we spoke about this and spoke about why we would love to see her more in Marigold last week. But this just accented it, because again, she can do the goofy stuff, she can do the comedy stuff, but she can also have really good matches.
I just want to touch upon something you said about 2 minutes ago, buddy. Sun's getting real low, Megaton. Sun's getting real low. Yeah, you knew what you're going to get here. We got in spades. What a payday for Nagi. I mean, the fact that she came in 7 minutes and didn't really do. I mean, the main, what you're getting with Megaton. If you want the great wrestling in Megaton sticks out because she's somebody different. You want the great wrestling in Marigold. We got the Mayus, the Miku Aonos, the Victoria Yuzukis, the Misa Matsui, so on and so forth. So you knew what you're going to get here. Do you think that Marigold missed? And I know this is kind of the gimmick with these mystery opponents. Do you think that they're starting missing, like, drawing here? Because, like, Suri was an unannounced opponent. Minoru Suzuki was an unannounced opponent. Dump Matsumoto is a draw, even though she can barely get in the ring, unannounced opponent. And Unagi, you just talked about, buddy, is somebody people will pay money to get tickets to. Now, I know that they'll pay money to see Unagi. They'll buy a ticket. Like, I know this one was a dead SERP giveaway by the silhouette.
That's the thing. Like, I think they compromised somewhat, because before I think they were just standard silhouettes, weren't they?
Whereas Matsumoto was kind of a giveaway, but the other ones were.
I think they learned their lessons, because again, there is something to say about genuine surprises. Like when it was Minoru Suzuki, there is not a single person. Am I boring you, Turner?
No, sorry,
Good
buddy.
Lord.
No. I thought I was going to sneeze and turn into a yawn.
I think there's something to be said about a genuine surprise. Like I say, no one predicted that it was going to be Minoru Suzuki when he walked out. And I think that was a genuine surprise. And that was something for just the people who watched the show, bought the show and things. But yeah, there are some people who will go, watching Murder Grandpa destroy Megaton. Yeah, sure, I'd watch that. I don't know how many more tickets would have moved, because Unagi was on the card. And it's different because it's a match with Megaton. It's going to go, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, but there's going to be minimal wrestling. I don't know. They need to sort of find a happy balance between providing legitimate surprises or just announcing them. Because here I feel like they did neither.
Yeah, again, fun stuff. It's great seeing Unagi in a Marigold ring. We've been mentioning for probably about the better part of a year or so that we want to see Unagi mix it up with the Victoria Yuzukis, the Miku Aonos, the Chikagotos, the Mayus, and so on and so forth. Because you're right, completely different Unagi that we saw in Stardom. But and not only that, if you remember, Unagi and Mina Shirakawa was really starting to gel really well as a tag team. What was Pink Desire? What was the name of
Kabuki.
Pink Kabuki. That's right, Pink Kabuki. Because I remember, like, they're going to get announced for the Goddess League, and I think
we thought they were going to win it. We thought they were going to win it.
I'll never forget. I was at the gym, of course, because it was early in the morning. I was doing shoulder presses, and then I looked at my phone. I'm like, okay, here's the announcement, and I was like, I sent it over to you. You're like, where's Pink Kabuki? I'm like, I know, right? I know. Then 2 days later, like, Unagi Saka is leaving the company. We're like, oh, that explains it. But it's good seeing her here again. Again, this match got a reaction. That's what this match was here to do. It was to get a reaction, because the next 4 matches were pro wrestling just about at its finest. But yeah, this was fun. Yeah, the rubber band spot not once but twice. But I love it how Nagia messes up the first rubber band spot, and she always takes like that crazy tumbling bump on the apron. It's like it's a Three Stooges spot. So for you older fans, or you fans that like to go back and watch nostalgic stuff, but ultimately, it was fun. Unagi getting the win. Just because of the crowd reaction, Rob, I did rate it 3.25 stars, but I understand a lot of people that might have left it off the rating because, yes, it wasn't the technical masterpiece that is Malenko Guerrero by any stretch of the imagination, but still was fun. And again, hopefully opens up the door for Unagi to come back to Marigold a handful of times. And it's always nice seeing Megaton get the reaction she does on these big shows.
So we move on to the 3D Trios title match. Rea Seto winning her first Marigold title on the 3rd anniversary of her debut, her 2nd anniversary of her Marigold debut. But the big thing for me, my friend, aside from obviously my joy of Rea Seto getting that title, the passion with which she delivered that closing promo and a performance, submitting Mai Sakurai as well. I think that's a statement of intent. What a fantastic entrance theme for Le'Veon Rose. Got some back alley Parisian jazz going on, like something out of the Aristocats. Absolutely loving that. What a vibe that was.
I think when you have the matching, like not the matching rows because they had different colors, but they were very much like the same,
The same style, yeah.
same style. Yeah, and the way that they all wore them kind of off the shoulder. And again, the theme you had just I mean, look at the obviously Arena Yamayaka with the aura is unbelievable. Natsumi's
Mhm.
got it as well, and Sakurai is right up there as well. So wouldn't be shocked if you see this one run back at a Corkin and Leon Rose win the belts back. I think this is a belt that you can kind of very much like the artist belts. You can have a V1, V2, and then
Mm.
flip it. I don't think it's going to be. You have great matches, but I don't think it's something that you're going to have those big 500-600 day reigns on. With that being said, again, yeah, you're absolutely right. Let me look at the costume and just the entrance of the tag of the champs, now former champs. Rea Seto new gear as well. I mean, this was everybody dressed at their Sunday's finest. And obviously, the main crux in this match was Rea Seto getting the big win, a clean win for Darkness. Oh, as clean as it
Yeah.
gets, really, for them over my Sakurai. It's not like she won with the roll up, forcing Sakurai to tap out. I do want to say this: the one big thing I took out of this, other than the ascension and ascension of Rea Seto up the card again, I do have her going into the playoffs in the Dream Star, is how great my Sakurai selling is. Like, we
Yeah.
never really got to see it or see it in that parts because it's like she got attacked with a chair, and that's what really set up the work to her arm. And then you had some double teams and triple teams, but like there was great selling, and it was selling in levels. As Ricky Morton would always say, you have to sell in levels because if you know that at minute 10 you got to sell this, at minute 7 you can't do the minute 10 sell because you can't die that early. You have to, be able to bring things back and sell in certain levels. And I never really noticed that about my Sakurai. It's not like she was a bad seller. I just never picked up on it. I really hone into it and focus how great her selling was. And ultimately, what it does, it puts Rea Seto over. Again, Sakurai has been the champion in this company between the 3D trios. She's had a couple cracks of the red belt. She was United National Champion and obviously part of the first tag champ with Mirai. So she's been belted up more than anybody in this
Mhm.
company. So she puts Rea Seto over there. As far as the wrestling goes, I thought, with the exception of the last few minutes with Sakurai and Rea Seto, the best stuff for me, buddy, was Natsumi Matsui. Again, going back to the very first Summer Destiny, they competed for the vacant championship. So these two were really wailing in onto each other. Natsumi with the Samato and the kicks, Misa Matsui with one of, if not arguably, the best damn flying knee strike in all of wrestling. I thought Arena and Rea Seto starting the match off had really brought the intensity level up. Because again, you have to think Rina Yamayaka was injured. They did a great job having Darkness steal the belts, and then they get the belts back when Arena gets her jacket. So there's a lot of violence going into this match. There's a lot of pent up frustration. We saw that. We did get the big brawl all over the place. Eventually, though, it was just too much darkness. It was a great job of Misa and Chiaki isolating my Sakurai for Rea Seto to pick apart. And eventually, by they, I mean Misa and Chiaki, basically do away with Arena and Natsumi Shozuki enough for Rea Seto to put away my Sakurai with the cattle mutilation. Shout outs to the American Dragon, Brian Danielson on that one. 4.25 stars. I thought this was fantastic. Looking to see what they do with my Sakurai. Interesting to see what they do with Natsumi Shozuki. Again, I'm really interested now in Rea Seto because she gets a definitive win on a big show in new gear over one of the main eventers in this company. So my guess is she's going to be getting a push. I'd like to see Misa Matsui potentially get that push as well, buddy. Again, I thought this was great. 4.25 stars.
Yeah, I agree, and like I said before when I was talking about it at the top of the show, I think it's important who Rea Seto submitted. And that's no disrespect to Natsumi Suzuki. It's certainly no disrespect on Arini Yamanaka. But to submit someone who is a 3-time Marigold champion, who has been to the finals of the Dream Star, who has won the United National Championship, who has been in red belt title matches, I think it's important that Rea Seto submitted her. And Rea Seto did such a good job of working Mai Sakurai's arm. And of course, as you mentioned, it was helped by some really good selling by Mai Sakurai. But I am so excited for what Rea Seto can do. And again, I said before it was her second anniversary. I did mean of her Marigold debut, which was on this show in 2024. And if you remember, no disrespect at all to Rea Seto, that match was a car crash. Like something went wrong. And I think it was her versus Kimono Minami. I think it was.
Because I remember saying like that's to put on the Summer Destiny 2 years ago was in Sumo Hall, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you on that? Because I remember we questioned the booking. Why would you put 2 young wrestlers in a singles match? Like, who's directing that? If it goes off the rails, who's the one to get it back on the rails? And my point was proven there. But sometimes you have to fail and fail forward. But again, look at where Rea Seto is. Look where Kimono Minami is.
That is my point. And that is my point. You look at 2024. And again, both young wrestlers. I think Rea Seto was a year into her career. And I think she'd taken some time off due to illness. And again, sort of the match had gone off the rails. It never got back on the rails. But then to go from that to here where she is someone that we are excitedly discussing the future of, and this is a faction that includes Misa Matsui, who we're both incredibly high on. I think that's quite the turnaround. I know it's been 2 years, and I know people will be like, oh, that's loads of time to develop. Yeah, I'm fully aware. But, complete regeneration of her character. She's offering something completely different in terms of someone who is a legitimate submission target a limb, which I don't think many other people do on the Marigold roster, if anybody, really. So it's exciting to see. And again, she's another person in this young Marigold crop that is very, very, very interesting to watch.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't last year during their Dream Star, she did like the death note of every one of her opponents?
Yeah.
Did she do something like that?
Yeah. Lost every match. I don't think she lost every. She didn't win many, but I liked that.
Did in a cool way.
I want to see something like that. Like Konami's doing the portraits this year and then spray painting them and rubbing it in the face. I liked the Death Note stuff. I liked sort of the burn book from Mean Girls. I really like that. Do something like that again. That's what makes her such a unique character, even in Dance Revolution.
There's our Mean Girl reference, buddy. And it only took us about 100 minutes, but we got it in. Good for you, buddy.
Doesn't even go here. Such a good film, man. Honestly, I'd happily watch. We should watch that. Kirsty would be well up for that.
I know we're getting sidetracked. My nephew, when he was a senior in high school, that was a couple years ago, he was in the band, and we would always go see whatever play that they were doing. They did Mean Girls. I'm like, oh, that's going to be weird. And considering the fact that it's a bunch of 16, 17, 18 years old, and then they do I'm not going to say it here, the part where, my pad is wide, and here's the reason why. I'm like, I can't believe they said there's a bunch of 16-year-olds on stage. I was like, oh my God. Like, we were dying laughing. So good.
Such a good film. Moving on then, we move to the Twin Star title match. Shino Yuki Yamazaki versus Koki Amare and Chika Goto. Now, something I quite like, and I know that this was not intentional whatsoever. There was a great moment where Yuki Yamazaki and Shino, who came out first as challengers, Shino forgot to go to the middle with Yuki Yamazaki to pose for the photographers. Funny moment, happens all the time. But I thought, actually, in retrospect, it was quite a nice foreshadowing for how the Twin Towers won the match. Because effectively, the Twin Towers won this match because they're more of a team. They have better team chemistry than Shino and Yuki Yamazaki. And again, I know that was not what they were going for here. It was a genuine mistake. It was a nice bit of foreshadowing because ultimately, again, Twin Towers did such a good job of isolating Shino towards the end from Yuki Yamazaki that it was just like, teamwork versus two individuals. And it's a story that's quite easy to tell. And I know that Marigold have told it before. But yeah, I really like that. And again, I thought this was a very, very, very good match. But I just thought it would, looking back on it in retrospect, quite an interesting way to open the match.
I didn't even look at it like that, buddy. Look at that.
There
Calm
you
Lanny
go.
Poffo because he's a genius. Yeah, and I liked how Yuka had a dragger and they were laughing like
Yeah.
like they yeah, that's a really cool little thing that I didn't think about, but you're absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. I loved how they divided the beginning of this match into two little mini matches. You have Chikagota and Yuka, they lock up. Big lockup, headlock, wrist lock exchanges. Then Kokiyamare is like, I want in. And Chino's like, I want in. They tag in, forearm kick, completely different of the chain wrestling that Chikagoto and Yuka was doing. Again, they did set this match up really well last week on that Cork and Hall show because again, you had Goto and Yuka and Koki and Shino. It looked like Koki and Shino were like, we're not done with the violence. Like, we need to bring it. Like, enough of your headlocks. Like, let's get into some violence. Again, we get some great double teaming early on here from the tag champs that leads to Chikagota with the giant swing. And then as soon as Yuka gets up from the giant swing, she's met with a big boot from Kokiyamare for a 2 count. Yuka comes back with a Joshi style dropkick, tags in Shino, and here comes Shino, buddy. Jumping knees, jumping kicks, forearms, all sorts of violence. I do like we did see a lot of new double teams from Shino and Yuka, including where Shino runs off the ropes. Yuka gets on all fours. She vaults off Yuka's back with the flying knee. It reminded me a lot of when Muda would do the Shining Wizard in the early 2000s off like anything. And I remember the one time he did it off the referee, like the referee was like looking for something, and he like vaulted off the referee and hit the Shining Wizard. So that's what I thought. I'm like, man, I'm really liking how Shino's vaulting off Yuka to get even bigger violence and more heavy hitting violence. I mentioned a couple weeks ago how Shino's been doing the Shima, the Venus palm strikes into the iconoplasm. We get the double team of it. And they did it like 3 times. They had like 3 double Venus palm strikes into the double iconoplasm. So I was like, man, I'm pretty sure Koki and Chikagoto are going to retain, and they need to. But maybe after this year plus run, I want to see with Koki and Chikagoto belt up Shino and Yuka Yamazaki because they were consistently getting better and they really saved their best stuff here for this match. But as we're getting towards the end of this match, we have Chikagoto with a huge lariat again. She's watching those Stan Hansen Jumbo Sharuda tapes, that's for sure. We get the Holy Demon Army finish to Shino, but Yuka comes in and makes the save and great camera work, not getting the save until the person breaking up the fall. Yuka getting the breakup here into the last possible second. Shino stops to go to a lariat with a roaring elbow. I love that. Like, here comes Chikagoto with the big lariat, and as she's running, getting ready to throw the old Stan Hansen, Shino does the Masawa. I've said that so many times in the early 90s, never gets old, and they literally took it there. Absolutely loved it. However, though, Goto's able to come back with the big boot, the lariat, and her version, the Emerald Frozen, to put away Shino for the 3 count. 4.25 stars. Rob, this is my second favorite match of the show. I loved it. As much as I like the main event, as much as I like the match that we just talked about. This was my second favorite match from the show. And I'll say this, obviously the match we're going to talk about is getting all the praise, but I think there needs to be more of a spotlight on how good this match was. I wish we would have got a little bit longer. I wish we went that 16, 17 minutes. But again, I thought this was fantastic. And again, we know a lot of people have watched this show because the match we're going to talk about in a few moments, some people didn't even bother to watch the other matches. And hey, that's your prerogative. Look, take the time to watch this match. Was this as good as the match we're going to talk about? No, this was still great. And again, you literally had 2 great tag matches back to back. Partner, you know me. I like great wrestling. I like great tag team wrestling. I like great Joshi tag team wrestling. I just stacked 3 on top of 3 there. It's like a steak on a steak with another steak. And we got it right here on this one. Great tag match to lead into this match of the year candidate. I thought this was terrific. Again, 4.25 stars. If you haven't seen it, definitely take the time to go and watch it because it was really tremendous and just really goes to show you the depth of this young roster, my friend.
The future is bright. The future's orange. Now, obviously, Mayu Iwatani, Victoria Yuzuki versus Spark Rush had a sort of the weight of expectation on it. I think people came into it assuming it was going to be a good match. Now, there's certainly something you've got to think about in terms of Victoria Yuzuki is just coming back off the back of an ACL injury. Mayu Iwatani's coming back off a broken toe and a shoulder injury. So there was a little bit in the back of my mind that made me think maybe, just maybe, they're doing a tag match so that not they can take it easy by any stretch of the imagination, but, so that they can sort of nurse through the injuries. That was not the case at all. Victoria Yuzuki, despite coming out like Julia,
Yes.
the gear was the inverted version of the gear that Julia wore, I believe, at Summer Destiny 24. Had the blue braids like Julia. Thought she looked incredible. The mask, again, she walked out and it was like, oh my God, this is what the company has been missing.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but she looked like Julia. You had all the parts, but not the biggest. If this was Family Feud, you would have got through 5. What's the biggest thing she looked like Julia for?
Oh God, I'm panicking now. I don't know.
Rob, I'm not. You got to figure this one out. Come on. The braids, yes. The gear, yes. The glitter, yes. What is Julia, especially Japan Julia? What's she known for? Remember, we think she tagged Bozilla in to get it when she left. What's Julia known for? We joke about it. It's been a bit.
I don't know.
Begins with a T.
Why is the only word I can think of beginning with T? Teeth.
It ends with an N and there's a vowel in between it. 3 letters. T blank N. It's a vowel. Go through the vowels. Come on.
There you go. See, I didn't notice.
Oh my goodness!
I must admit, I did. That's why I didn't tweet, because I didn't notice it. And she got a tan game, had she?
Her tan game was phenomenal. I know Andy Hitter didn't watch this whole entire show, and I don't want to speak for him, but I know him really well. Best gear would have gone to Victoria Yuzuki.
Mate, come on. That can't be the case. Megaton had new gear. Come on. I am irrelevant. Victoria Yuzuki had new tan. Suri slapped it off her, so it's irrelevant.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe you went to go get a drink during the entrance, and by the time that you watched it, Suri already slapped it off her.
Yeah, obviously this match was just tremendous. I mean, again, Victoria Yuzuki walked out and it was very much for me a case of, oh my God, this is what we've been missing. That aura in the main event. Mayu Otani comes out, huge reaction. Suri and Takumi Aroha, again, just incredible tag team. And Victoria Yuzuki very much wants to protect Mayu, wants to be the first line of defense for Mayu. And what's quite interesting is that Suri is begging for this match with Mayu. She lost to Mayu for the IWGP Women's Championship, and she is not over that. Like, she needs this match with Mayu, and it bleeds over into the post-match where she goes, I want a match, and Mayu's like, you're all right, which is such icon behavior. I love that. Nah, I'm good. But again, Victoria Yuzuki acting as that first line of defense and just getting pasted around this ring. And it's worth pointing out, actually, that I don't know if you saw this match, Suri on Spark Rush's YouTube channel, she's given 3 names that she's believes to be the future of Joshi wrestling. Can you guess who those 3 names are?
Victoria Yuzuki.
Correct.
Chi-Chi?
Correct.
Miku Kunai?
No.
Oh, I thought we were going down the way. By the way, I watched a match of Miku Kunai from Sendai Girls. It was an all right match. Miku Kunai was like working circles around everybody. Oh, got to be Ann Kanai, right? The sniper, Ann Kanai, right?
Sniper, Ann Kanai. No, it isn't. It isn't. I'll give you one more guess. She was on the Marvelous show.
Miko Wada, because she's got the best flying knee strike.
That rookie Miko Wada.
Business.
Oh,
there's a glare there.
No, Senka Akatsuki.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. She beat Aja Kong. She got Chris Hero out of retirement in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. But yeah, in this match, obviously, the story of Suri wanting Mayu and sort of being made to wait by Victoria Yuzuki and therefore getting really, really annoyed by it, wrenching her over to Mayu's corner by her braids and launching her into the corner and going, no, I want you. Takumi Aroha is so good. Like, I know that obviously the story here is Suri and Mayu and Victoria Yuzuki trying to get in the way, but getting absolutely battered. But Takumi Aroha is so good. She was so smooth in everything that she did. And some of the tag moves that Spark Rush are doing and the quickness and the smoothness with which they are doing it is phenomenal. They are the most OP team in wrestling. Like, 2 insane single stars who have formed an insane tag. They're like Power Rangers, where on their own, in their own individual little animals, they're great. But then they build up and they create this super machine thing, which is even more OP. That's Spark Rush.
I know Andy Header watched, because he watched the Sendai Girls show, and then he's like, I don't watch Summer Destiny. I was like, stop what you're doing. At least watch this match.
I mean, I'm driving that, but sure.
Then he texts me later that day, because I'm wrestling again on the 12th of September. It's at the comic book show. I always do, right? So my thing is like, hey, I'll wrestle. Like, I'll waive my fee, but you got to put me in the ring with Andy Header, and you got to get a pass for my daughter for the con. So he sends me this text message. It's a video attached to it, and he's like, hey, I watched a whole bunch of tag wrestling today. I'm like, I know I told you to watch this match. We should totally steal this sequence for Colossal Con, right?
I know exactly
going,
the sequence you mean.
Oh my God. He's going to want to do the sequence where Takumi does the German suplex and the O'Connor roll and Suri. Like, and you have to understand something too, Rob. Like, again, I wrestle maybe once or twice a year. Header's working all the time. And he's phenomenal. Like, no disrespect to the people that I'm in the ring with at these shows. You got to keep it simple. Like, you just got to keep it. It's like, they're not going to get this. Like, they're not going to get this. Like, we do this Spark Rush thing. What? Like what? Like Andy Header, and I know I'm getting on a tangent. He steals so much Joshi that he'll come back and he'll tell me what he's doing, and I'll tell him where to put it, because I know where to get the bigger reaction. And then he'll talk to me the next day, and they'll think that he's an alien, like because he where did you come up with that? Oh my God, that's so. It's like I'm literally just stealing it from Stardom and Marigold and Sendai Girls. But anywho, so the sequence that he did, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the segment. That's the sequence he's going. There's no way we're gonna do it. Like, I'll try it. Like, I'll do anything for him. He's one of my best friends. I take a bullet for him, but like, it's not gonna. And I looked at the video. It's a simple kick knee combination that Red Energy do. I was like, oh, thank God, that I can do. That I can do. But that's what I thought was gonna be. And again, the sequence. I mean, let's talk about it. Mayu does the double knuckle lock arm drag. We've seen her do it for like a decade. It's part of her thing. And then usually it's in a tag match. It's like her and Han or her and Hazuki. Or at this point, her and Victoria Hazuki will do the double drop kick. But this time it gets countered. And I'm like, oh, I like that. Sari's like, nope, absolutely not. She comes, gets underneath Mayu, throws her to Takumi. Takumi does the German. And then there's like a head kick. And then they do the German O'Connor roll into the other roll. It's like they did this when we were in Vegas, Rob. And Marvelous just put the show up on YouTube when they wrestled against Johnny Robbie and Miyamoto. And it was a smaller ring and a smaller venue. And they were still able to do it and like not even hit the ropes. And that building I thought was going to lose their mind. They did it here, but even like a bigger spot because it's blocking one of Mayu's signature things. And the fact like Mayu's like, oh, I get to do this with my new tag partner, Victoria Hazuki. And so he's like, absolutely not. Nope, not at all. Not happening in your return match in your new home promotion. Nope, not going to let it happen. Which I thought was a real like kin to like Sari just knowing Mayu. Like, I know your stuff. I'm going to counter it. I'm going to beat you up and I'm going to bully you into this match, which seems to be the story they're doing. But you're absolutely right, buddy. Like Takumi Roja is kind of almost like the person we weren't focusing on this match because again, we got Sari coming in with a story with Mayu's return, Victoria Hazuki's return. And it's like, oh, by the way, we have Takumi Roja. Her stuff with Mayu was phenomenal. I'm sitting watching this. I'm like, duh, we were in the same building. Like we were there in person in this same building at the beginning of the year where these two had in my opinion, a 5-star match. Just a great, great match of the year candidate. And those two absolutely tore down the house. The one thing I'll say, one of the many great things I'll say about Spark Rush, in these big matches, they do a great job building up the person they're going to beat, especially the fact like they're not contracted wrestlers for Marigold. Takumi Roja is with Marvelous. Sari is an independent. So you're on a big show. This is one of Marigold's flagship shows in Oda Ward. And what do they do towards the end? They beat up Yuzuki, but Yuzuki keeps coming back and coming back and coming back. And I'll say this, poor Mayu. Like, here's her return match. Mayu, all she did towards the end was make saves for Yuzuki.
Yep.
Like, literally the point I'm waiting for Mayu to hit something, like a super kick or a dragon suplex or something. And then Sari and Takumi Roja have Yuzuki down. Like, we need to take out Mayu. And it's great psychology. It's like, we can keep beating up Yuzuki, but Mayu is the one that's breaking up the 3 counts. It happened like 3 or 4 times towards the end. So they're like, we got to take Mayu out in order to finish off Victoria Hazuki. They set Mayu up for the top rope powerbomb. Right. And then Mayu bips Sari. I'm like, oh, she's going to hit a top rope Rana. I'm like, finally, Mayu's going to get something here towards the end. Not does Mayu not hit the Rana because Takumi breaks it or blocks it. Sari hits a German off the second rope and then feeds her back to Takumi, and Takumi hits a top rope Liger bomb. I'm like, man, that seemed to be worse for Mayu. Like, they had to bomb Mayu towards the end. I wish, my one little nitpick, and I'll say this is 5 stars. This is one of my favorite tag matches I've seen all year. My one little nitpick is I wish that Mayu would have gotten something other than breaking up falls towards the end. But ultimately, though, the focus was on Yuzuki, because now they literally bomb Mayu to death there at the end. And now it's like, okay, now it's time to put away Vittoria Yuzuki. Yuzuki comes back with a super kick. Sari tries to go for the Uranagi. Yuzuki rolls all the way through into the victory, the rolling arrow. And for a split second, I thought, they're going to pull the trigger here? Because I tell you what, if the ref would have counted 3, that place would have lost their mind. And the referee, I don't know who the ref was, but he was so close to counting to 3. Yuzuki was like, did I get it? Did I get it? I'm like, did she get it? I'm like, did she get it? Sari tries to come back, and Yuzuki catches her in the cross-arm German suplex and almost gets the 3 count, to the point where Takumi Iroha needs to break up the fall. So as much of a beating as Yuzuki took, especially towards the end, she had those 2 near falls towards the end that really shined on Vittoria Yuzuki. In this, to me, the end mirrored a lot what Spark Rush did at Grand Princess against Miyu Yamashita and Arisa Endo. And it's kind of the same story. You have Spark Rush, as you said, by the OP team, right? Coming in to a company that they don't belong to on a big show. Grand Princess, Summer Destiny, Mayu Iwatani, the ace of Marigold, Miyu Yamashita, the ace of Tokyo Joshi Pro, Arisa Endo, an upstart for Tokyo Joshi Pro, Vittoria Yuzuki, the future of this company, maybe all of wrestling in the next few years. And obviously Endo gets beat up towards the end, but kicks out of so much stuff and has a lot of great fire. Same thing here with Yuzuki, and it worked. That goes to show, like, when they're putting the match together, like, okay, we know Spark Rush is going over, and they're going to go over on the younger person here. Let's get the younger person over. And I've always liked that. I've said that for decades, that if you're going to beat somebody, build them up so you beat somebody. Vittoria Yuzuki, very much like Arisa Endo at Grand Princess, not only was the MVP of this match, but maybe this whole entire show. I think she came out looking the best out of anybody this entire show. And a lot of it had to do with, very much like Arisa Endo and Tokyo Joshi Pro, great wrestler, but Sari and Takumi brought her up to that level. A lot of people are talking about the great performance that was Vittoria Yuzuki. But yeah, ultimately, though, it takes just more double teaming and the Uranagi to put away Vittoria Yuzuki, buddy. 5 stars for me. I tell you what, I know Marigold's only been a company a little over 2 years. I like this just as much as Io and Utami, and just as much as Io and Mayu. This is, with the Young Bucks FTR match from a couple months ago, probably my tag match of the year. This was sensational, and I didn't realize until 2 days later when I watched the Miyamoto versus Sari match in Cork and Hall. Might not have been Sari's best match in the last 24 hours. I mean, we missed Sari with that neck injury. She has come back, and I mean, you can put her as Worker of the Year with Chihiro Hashimoto, with Miyu Yamashita, with Saya Kamatani. I mean, the fact that she's doing it in a singles form, in a tag form, that's really special. That's really special. Yeah, I love this match. I watched this match twice. I might watch it again once we get off this podcast. I'm so excited just talking about this match and us even building up to this match. But I have this 5 stars, buddy. Phenomenal. Again, I cannot put over Spark Rush enough that when they beat somebody, they build them up and give that person hope, Rob. Give that person hope. They make them a Blue Lantern for all you Green Lantern fans because they give them hope. So
most obscure of all the lanterns. Look, I gave it 5 stars as well. There's no way I could watch this and not give it 5 stars. I completely echo your sentiment. I can't think of a match that comes close to it this year, really, for me anyway. And the excitement that it brings, the fact that you have got 2 huge stars coming back to Marigold regularly. Obviously, we went through earlier on the show. They will be on the shows on the 15th and the 16th. And, they're both in the Dream Star. Seeing that they are firing on all cylinders, they are hungry. I don't think Vittoria Yuzuki, her hunger was ever an issue, but you know what I mean? They seem hungry, they seem ready, and that's really, really exciting. But what a match. If you've only got the time to watch one match, it's this one. But take the time to watch the whole show because it was a good show. Miku Aono versus Nagisa Nozaki, then Marigold World title on the line. Main event where it should be, and I will die on that hill. It's the most important title. You're not going to make your title important unless it is in the main event. So Rossi made absolutely the right decision here. The match was good. The match was really good. I enjoyed the match. There was something missing for me, and I don't know because the closing sequence was great. I just, it felt like it lacked urgency almost, especially in the first 10 minutes. And obviously, I know you had the bit on the outside, and you had Miku Aono take a really scary chair shot to the top of the head, which please stop doing
Twice.
that.
I think it
Yeah,
happened twice.
yeah, the one where she nearly got counted out. I was like, oh my God, that's hit her right on the crown of the head. And the chair didn't give either, which was frightening. We've seen Nagisa Nozaki have proper knockdown, drag out brawls. It's what it's what she does in Marigold. We've seen Miku Aono in all sorts of ways. We've seen her defend in knockdown, drag out brawls. We've seen her defend on the back foot, like in that match with Nightshade at Corrigan Hall. Here it felt, and again, I want to stress that this is a good match. I felt like there was more left on the table. I felt like they weren't quite sure what they wanted the match to be. And again, I think that I see what they were trying to do with the finish. Again, Nagisa Nozaki takes a lariat, takes all this punishment, laughs in Miku Aono's face, and then gets flattened with one more lariat for the win. And I understand that. It's a story that we've seen in other matches, and it's worked really well. I just feel like here, in your main event of the biggest show of the year so far for you, there needed to be an emphatic finish. The Red Sensation, the Styles Clash, an Avalanche Styles Clash. There's a litany of moves that we know Miku Aono uses. And I think because it seemed, and again, this might just be me, and I can only speak for myself, this match seemed to take so long to get going. And it seemed to, I don't know whether it was just because the energy in the venue had been sucked out from the Spark Rush Mayu and Victoria Yuzuki match, or if it was, as I mentioned before, a match lacking identity. What do you want it to be? Do you want it to be a brawl? Do you want it to be a technical wrestling masterclass? Do you want it to be, a Darkness Revolution cheating infested match? You could have easily had the members of Darkness Revolution around the arena getting involved. But I don't know, there seemed to be bits of all of it, but not enough to give it an identity. It wasn't disappointing because it was still a good match. And with my match ratings, I've stopped giving it numbers because, what's the difference between a 4 and a 4.25 match? It boggles my mind sometimes. So I've just gone for words instead. This was a good match. I can't say it's great, though, which is a shame.
I see your point. Again, considering, and what we just saw, the 2 tag matches. Again, I think the tag title match was the second best match from this show. So
Agreed.
in the 3D trios one was just as good as this. So you literally had 3 great matches, a match of the year candidate coming off this, and you just have to be all systems go. And the crowd they were a little tired. So what do? You kind of, again, I'm not going to tell anybody how to put their matches together, especially these two, again, especially Miku Aono, who I'm just a massive fan of. But like you started off, and considering that we've seen these two just absolutely go crazy, and they did towards the end here, they started out with like lockups and headlocks and wrist locks. I think the crowd was just like, after coming off such an emotional high of that great match, and just the crowd getting so behind Victoria Yuzuki towards the end there, and then Yuzuki almost pulling it off, that it's just like you gave the crowd time to come down, and they really didn't get back up until towards the finish. Like those spots towards on the floor that were crazy and absolutely Rob, those chair shots that Miku Aono took, like no, like I mean, we'll be here another 2 hours talking about how I just don't like that. I just
No.
please get rid of it. I mean, if it's one thing, it's a gimmick chair, but I mean, you can just tell Nagisa Nozaki was properly sabooing 1996 sabooing those chairs onto Miku Aono. I was like, no. But even like that on the outside didn't get like the reaction I think they wanted, because I think maybe if they would have started with that, then we just go full force, and maybe that's what they could have done. But again, hindsight's being 2020. But you get there towards the end, you got Miku Aono doing the Styles Clash on the apron. But I totally agree with you, Rob, that you need your big definitive win because it's on a big show. It's coming off, 3 really great matches that Miku Aono has got your two big finishers, the Styles Clash, or as you said, the Avalanche Styles Clash, and then the Red Sensation. And the fact that you had Miku Aono win with the running lariat, I can see if this was just like a tag match or like a regular singles match. But yeah, you needed kind of your big bump one, and then the whole crowd could be like, hit the Red Sensation, you know it's over. The whole crowd, 1, 2, 3, then you get your big pop. Considering all the crazy stuff that happened here, that not that clothesline was not violent, because I mean Miku Aono throws those lariats, but that Red Sensation is absolutely brutal.
Mm-hmm.
So considering the fact everything that Nagisa did to Miku Aono with the Cobra Clutch suplex, with throwing the chairs into the head, literally the point where Miku Aono like did, I mean, I don't know if it's the best sell job in the world or like she was legit like didn't know where she was for a little bit, because I was generally really concerned with Miku Aono at that point. And again, considering the fact that she got chair right to the head, I was like, oh, geez, this isn't good. But yeah, considering you had all that violence from Nagisa to Miku Aono, and last year, if you remember, it was like in the middle of the Dream Star. These two had an absolutely crazy match. And I thought that match was better. And obviously, this is a bigger match, bigger setting, bigger stakes because the red belt's on the line. But yeah, as you're building here towards the end, Miku Aono escapes a Cobra Clutch suplex, inside cradle for a 2 count. Nagisa with not one but two Noir Lancers. Miku Aono fires back with a series of lariats. We get a headbutt exchange, and then Miku Aono just throws a series of head kicks and a lariat for the 3 count. The fact that they really didn't tease the Red Sensation or like the Tiger Bomb, or even, yeah, I mean, I know they did the Styles Clash on the apron, but I think they could have got more out of it. They would have brought it in for a falsie. But yeah, I totally see your point. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a very good match.
It was a good match.
But to close out this show, I think you needed that really next level match. And the thing is, these two can get to it because we saw them do it in the Dream Star last year. But
Some do for the United National title.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. So again, I gave it 4.25 stars. I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed the two matches that I saw prior better than this one.
I think it was because I expected, and again, it's sort of weighing against my own expectations, I suppose. I know what these two are capable of, and I felt like they struggled to get there, which is, it was a good match. It wasn't great. And I expected great from them. And again, you know, if you're talking star ratings, it's, for me, it was 3 3/4. I couldn't give it 4. And I feel like I feel almost guilty for saying that because I love both these wrestlers and I think they have a really, really good chemistry. There you go, Merkman. But yeah, just I don't know whether it was placement. I don't know whether it was, you know, again, for me at least, the identity of the match I think was a big thing. There didn't seem to be a through line. There didn't seem to really be a story. There didn't seem to be any defining factor. You're like, it's this type of match. Right, okay, this is what they're doing in this match. Again, even with the chairs on the outside, which, again, when it's a chair shot and the padded seat comes out and they wear it like a necklace, you can at least tell that it's a gimmick chair. Whereas with some of these, man, like some of the chair shots that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, it's like, please don't do this again. Please. It's so unnecessarily dangerous unless they are absolutely gimmicked and you are 100% sure you are doing it with the right side. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. Don't mind them being hit on the back. Don't mind them being hit on the arm, the leg, whatever. Just not right on top of the head. Good Lord.
Yeah, you gotta remember, if you get injured like your knee, your back, or even your neck, like that's all stuff that could be fixed. You only get one brain. You only get one brain. So what I might do too, Rob, just because if I watch this match as a whole, this match as a whole show, maybe in a day or two, I'll go back and just watch this match in its own bubble.
Maybe, yeah.
And maybe I'll enjoy it a little more. But I literally echo your sentiments on everything that you said. But yeah, again, I'm excited for Miku Aono's run and Nagisa's run in the Dream Star. Again, Miku Aono, Natsumi Shozuki. I'm excited for that.
Hell yeah. Right. So, obviously, thank you to everyone that entered our Predictions League challenge for Marigold Summer Destiny. We do have a first-time winner of the Predictions League. Quite a few people getting around the 20 mark. Matt, you finished second, so congratulations. Ooh. Joint second with friend of the show, Dirty Fowl. But would you like to know who won the Marigold Summer Destiny Predictions Challenge?
Kirsty. Did Kirsty win?
It was indeed, Kirsty. Yes. No, it wasn't. But ladies and gentlemen, it was with 21 points. Andy Hodgson, friend of the show, Andy. Congratulations, Andy. 21 points he got. And considering he's only done the last couple, he's surged into mid-table. So congratulations. Yeah, absolutely. Matt, you have called me back up. So I knew my sort of boasting about winning Summer Sun Princess wouldn't last long, and it hasn't. So there we go, because it's not like I watch Marigold every week or anything and podcast about it, so why would I know? But thank you again to everyone that has been a part of the Predictions League so far. I've really enjoyed it. Seems it's been quite well received. If you want to take part in any of these challenges, of course, $1 a month on our Patreon to be a part of our high-speed tier. You probably beat me. We do obviously a cumulative league where you have the option, or you have the opportunity to win a unique World of Joshi Predictions King or Queen cap for the year. But you also obviously get the chance to win the actual pay-per-view itself, and a big shout out on the podcast. But the next one, I'm not sure if I'm going to do Senjo top of pro wrestling, simply be top of Joshi pro wrestling, sorry, just because I think with the Dream Star and everything, I don't think I'm going to have time. The next one might be the Dream Star, but leave it with me. Stay tuned to Patreon for more. Obviously, at the moment, our 5-star Grand Prix pick'ems are currently in play, so we'll know who has won that very shortly. I can promise you, I bloody haven't. Right. Anyway, Matt Turner, there's only one way to end a Marigold Standard episode, and that is, of course, with a gaze at Julia. And how much of this is going to be from actual WWE TV? I don't really know.
Well, Rob, last week, obviously, we talked about Julia getting squashed in 2 minutes. And I'm like, there's a lot of sympathy behind Julia. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see if they're going to pick up on it. Obviously, nothing with Julia this week. Now, Nakamura did announce that he's coming out with his own faction. So maybe if Julia is in said faction, I'm still going to wait and see. I'm still playing the positive wait and see game. But Rob, if you want to gaze at Julia, you would either have to go to the jiu-jitsu place that she practices her submissions, or go to Disney World, where you did see her hanging out with Hazuki, Mina Shirakawa, Fuwa-chan, and Rani Yagami. Now, Rob, I'm not one to stir the pot. I'm kind of looking at this like, do you think these ladies talked about work? Probably, right? They're with each other for at least 2 or 3 days. And I'm sure Mina and Hazuki were like, yeah, we're wrestling quite a bit. We're wrestling quite a bit, Julia. Julia is on, if I'm going to use a theater, she's on the biggest stage, but she's behind the curtain. Every now and again, she gets to come out of the curtain, but she's behind the curtain. Hazuki, Mina, Rana, Fuwa-chan. I know Shiri wasn't there, but they're on a pretty decent stage, and we see them quite a bit on said stage. Do you think it's a possibility, Rob, that, again, obviously I know you can't do contract tampering, but these girls definitely got to talk about work. And I just don't see any way Julia can't be frustrated, because us, the fans, are frustrated that they're doing nothing with her. And she's such an amazing talent. Anything they give her, she absolutely knocks out of the park. I'm not wanting to stir the pot, buddy. Again, I want to make this a little more interactive with you, so it's not like, oh, that's it, she wasn't there, blah, 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 it's over. Do you think that just her not being used, and if they still don't have plans for her, do you think that, because usually these contracts are for 3 years, she signed in 2024, so that's next year, or if they have nothing for her, we've been seeing TKO making billions of dollars, but making people taking pay cuts or asking for their release. Again, I will hope Julia main events WrestleMania. I want nothing but the world for her. I love Julia. She's fantastic. But if this is what they do with her, do you think it's something we see Julia on maybe one of those split AEW Stardom contracts? Because, or something where she does freelance, where she's wrestling everywhere, like Worldwide Hazuki. Is that something we may see with Julia in the next 12 to 18 months, if this keeps up with her kind of behind the curtain?
It's such a shame, because the WWE women's division is really flourishing. Like, the talent the WWE have, and to be honest, fair play to NXT, which I don't watch a tremendous amount of, because NXT 2.0 really put me off. But the women in NXT are absolutely killing it. And, that's actually the same on the main roster as well. They have an absolute embarrassment of riches in terms of the women's division, and they put on fantastic matches. I mean, we talked about Io Sky and Liv Morgan from SummerSlam on the Stardom cast. And for Julia not to be a part of that is a real shame, especially when she's a tremendous wrestler that can mix it up with absolutely anyone. It does feel like the ball has been dropped somewhat. Now, obviously, if she is a part of Shinsuke Nakamura's new faction, that is rumored to also include Evil and Hiromu Takahashi, it could breathe a new sort of lease of life into her and her Stardom and WWE career. If not, obviously, at no point am I wishing for anyone to be released. At no point am I wishing for anyone to lose their job. I want Julia to make millions, obviously, as I do for all these wrestlers. I think if she leaves, she'd go back to Marigold. Now, the reason I think that is obviously she left Stardom to found Marigold. She was one of the initial ones. She would be treated, she'd be treated like an absolute star in Stardom or in Marigold. And ultimately, this depends on what she wants to do. She might really enjoy her life in the States. Ultimately, she uprooted her entire life and moved to the States. She might really enjoy it there. She might want to stay there. And if she does, there are plenty of promotions where she would absolutely make a killing. If she came back to Japan, I think it would be Marigold. I know I said that I was reticent to think that Utami would go back because I know that there was issues before, which appear to have been resolved now, which is great. Julie was incredibly outspoken about Stardom and the way it was being managed. Yeah, who'd have thought? I would be surprised if she went back to Stardom. I'd be very surprised. And Julia going back to Marigold, good God, the business that would help Marigold do, because immediately then you have got what we've wanted them to have for so long, what they've needed for so long, a bona fide, ready-made ticket drawing wrestler. Which is why, in the absence of Mayu, with Utami leaving, with the absence of Victoria Yuzuki, we've seen the attendances slide. You put Julia into that mix, with Mayu coming back, with Victoria Yuzuki coming back, putting her with Mai Sakurai, putting her with Natsumi Shozuki, again, putting her in the mix with these types of wrestlers, having a rematch with Sarai, Marigold would do gangbusters. I really do think that, because Julia is that good. Wherever she ends up, I just hope that she's happy, and I'm sure you're the same. It's a shame that she's not being used in WWE. And again, it wouldn't bother me if she wasn't in the ladder match for SummerSlam. That's absolutely fine. Lash Legend's great. I know that WWE are high on Lash Legend. But 2 minutes makes absolutely no sense.
You don't get ready for next week. Yeah.
Unless they are going to use this as to why she's aligned herself with, presumably, a heel Shinsuke Nakamura and his Way of the Warrior, or whatever they're going to call this faction. I like the idea of it, especially if it's going to be Evil, Hiromu Takahashi, and Julia. That's quite a terrifying faction. But again, it's all debatable, isn't it, at the moment? Because, as proved by the fact that they let go of the entire Wyatt Six and KAIRI. I believe they were both in storylines and then got let go. So unfortunately, that's having a storyline appears to offer little solace. But we'll wait and see. We'll see. It's an interesting one with Julia, because again, she came in with all this. I thought they did a very good job with her in NXT, and I feel like on main roster she hasn't quite had the chance to flourish in the way that we know she can.
Yeah, I just kind of want to throw that out. Again, we'll see what happens. Obviously, we want Julie on our TV any which way that we can, because she's a fantastic wrestler. But yeah, you're right, buddy. She's learning English. She's taking English classes. Excuse me. So yeah, maybe she's like, hey, I like it here. Where I get used when I get used, and if something happens, yeah, she can write her own check. She's such a great, talented wrestler that she can go anywhere she wants, whether it's WWE, whether it's AEW, TNA, MLW, NWA is doing really good ratings on that new station that they're at. So again, wherever she goes, we will definitely follow because we're massive fans of the beautiful madness.
It is worth pointing out as well, we're saying about how she hasn't flourished on the main roster. She did win the US title, the women's US title. But again, don't really feel like she was used as the champion, which is the frustrating thing. But there we are. There we are. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of the Marigold Standard. We will be back next week to talk about those shows from the 15th and the 16th of August. Sorry, completely forgot the month we were in. And then, of course, we've just got one more show before the start of the Dream Star Grand Prix on the 28th of August. Tournament season does continue to roll on. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. And thank you for all of your support. If you haven't already subscribed to us on the podcast app of your choice, please consider doing it. Leaving us a 5-star and a review and a comment really does help the podcast out. It's a completely free way of supporting us. You can also find us on Patreon, patreon.com/World of Joshi, or www.worldjoshi.com, where you can find all of our archived episodes ad-free. You can also find hundreds and hundreds of hours of bonus content, all of our show previews, our show reviews, all of our predictions league challenges, all of the good stuff over there on a lot of different pricing tiers. You can find us on social media at WOJ Wrestling. You can find me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin, probably moaning about Newcastle. That's how you know it's me. Mr. Matt Turner, please, good sir, sign us off.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and bestest way to get a hold of me. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok over there, M Turner there as well. Or you can shoot me an email, matt@worldofjoshi.com, or the StardomCast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together and everybody's different. Everybody's special.